All right, welcome to Tables, Ladders, and Conversations. It's the WrestleMania 42 reaction show. So we are a few minutes. What would you say, Tim? Like 10, 15 minutes from the main event, the CM Punk Roman Reigns match ending?
At least about 5-10 minutes or so. Like WrestleMania just ended. I'm still on the high right now from an amazing night two. Man, I can't wait to get into this, man. Like, it was just incredible. Night two was incredible. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Incredible.
yes.
I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I thought it was
Compared to night one, I definitely think it pales in comparison. You know what I'm saying?
well, night oh, if you do that comparison, then it's incredible. Because
Yes.
night one, but that's because night one was so bad. Which we'll get into.
Yeah, of
But
course.
let's talk about, I think, of so much that happened in night two. I do think we kind of said it in the preview show, Oba versus Brock has turned into the unofficial main event of WrestleMania 42, and that opened on ESPN, 6 o'clock Eastern time. You open with Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar, with the wise man Paul Heyman in Brock's corner, and we get a powerful match, man, with a big shocker afterwards. But what are your thoughts on the Oba versus Brock match?
Well, this goes back to what I said on the prediction show. The opening match sets the tone for the rest of the night. You know what I'm saying? Like, and of course, night one, like the opening match was okay, and as you see, that's what it was. The rest of the night, it was just okay or subpar. But tonight, that opening match between Oba and Brock, that set the pace for the rest of the night, as you can see. You know what I'm saying? And the match was the way it should have went. It wasn't too long. It didn't need to be a 30-minute clinic. It just needed to be a quick 10, 15-minute slugfest between two powerhouses, and it delivered, and the right guy went over, and Brock Lesnar putting the Oba Femi over in a big way. And it just goes to show that Brock Lesnar, he'll do the honors for people, he'll put people over that he truly respects. And you can see, especially dating back to these last few weeks, these last 4 weeks or so, this last month, like he's putting Oba over in a big way. So they set him up, on a huge pedestal to be, as Michael Cole even said it, the next big thing. Wouldn't you know it? It wasn't that long ago, like 20 years ago, Brock Lesnar was once upon a time the next big thing.
Yeah, yeah, he was. He was. I'll say this match, I thought they kind of made Oba look a little weak at times, a little bit. I kind of thought it should be a little more even out. Like I wanted more of a back and
Yeah, I
forth.
was I was nervous. I was nervous when Brock started taking the Suplex City. I got a little nervous.
I knew Oba. I felt he was going to win, but I sometimes don't like that. I know that's classic wrestling 101, where the heel is dominant and the underdog. But sometimes I'm like, man, make it like a back and forth, like as close to 50-50 as you can. And some matches do, and I thought this one should have, but I felt like obviously Oba, they just were showing his strength more by, instead of offensive moves, it was him not laying down for Brock, which I rather see his strength more by offensive moves, which we got at the finish, but that's just me personally.
Well, I'm sure you I'm sure you're familiar with the term less is more. So I feel like they didn't want to give too much away, even though for people that follow his career in NXT, like we've seen what Oba can do. We know he can go in the ring, we know he can sell, he can talk and all this stuff like that. He can really put on a great match. And Brock Lesnar, this isn't the Brock Lesnar from 2003 going up against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19. That's a different Brock Lesnar from like 20 years ago. And he's older now, he's 48, and he's going to work the match he wants to work. You know what I'm saying? He's going to do whatever he wants to
Nah,
do.
I just thought it should have been a little bit longer and a little bit more Oba.
Longer?
Yes. You know why? Or you can adjust it. It was a lot of like the Brock staring outside and being frustrated. I kind of wish he didn't. It was weird to me because then you showed like Brock had to sneak in and attack, kind of do like so, not sneak, but because Oba grabbed him, but like use a little veteran move there, like against the ropes. Like, but then it went to more Brock just being dominant, and I was kind of like, well, are you making him the dominant one, or you're making him the sneak to get ahead? But I just kind of thought it was a good match. It was definitely the right call to open it. I liked it. I was glad Oba won, but the big shocker is just, to me, if this doesn't happen at the end, I don't think we open with I would say we should probably open with the main event. But the big shocker, Brock Lesnar doing the classic. You see it in amateur wrestling. We've seen it in professional wrestling. But leaving the gear in the ring, taking the boots off,
Mhm.
like the old cowboys used to do, which signals retirement. And Tim Lewis, you're an insider, former worker, employee for the network here for WWE, the company. I know you still have friends there, but did you know this was happening?
No, I did not. And by the way, no, I did not work for
No, no.
WWE. So
Stop with that. Stop with the lies. You did. It's okay. Be proud of it. You did not know this was going to happen. You didn't even you.
no, no, I did not. I didn't hear anything from my sources either. Um, but no, it was a shock to me. And we talked about not too long ago on the podcast, SummerSlam 2023, which we thought at the time that would be Brock Lesnar's last match against Cody. When he went off script, shook Cody's hand, and raised his arm and stuff, and he rode off to the sunset, and then he got caught up in the Vince thing, and WWE cut ties with him. We thought that was it, but I even said like that was the perfect way for him to go out, and still at least the last good image of him. You know what I'm saying? Minus the whole stuff with the media and stuff like that with him and Vince. As it stands now, like they didn't really find anything on him, so that's why he was able to come back. But yeah, it was a shocker. It's like love him or hate him, still like Brock Lesnar. Deremy, I don't know how you feel, but do you think he's a legend? Do you feel like he earned that standing ovation and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
to ride off into the sunset?
yeah. He's a legend. He's a legend, and you have to give it. I didn't like how his comeback was from 2012 to now. I didn't like how they booked him a lot of times, but you look at his two runs, he was the man and he was an attraction. And I think that's to me where he's legendary. Were there greater workers than him? Absolutely. Were there better promo people? Absolutely. But he's one of the great attractions in pro wrestling history. And honestly, in combat sports as well with UFC, just and that matters. Big box office draw matters. And one thing he gave you box office, including tonight. That push to this event, to this weekend, to me, I don't want to say solely like saved the build up for WrestleMania, but it was the big majority. If there's a pie chart, the Oba Brock like signing, like match signing, and the build up for that helped me get excited for this event. Where if you take that away, my excitement would have been a lot less.
Yeah.
So he still brought it to the very end. And my question to you though is, do you think that wrestling's big on works, big on facial and all that stuff? Now Brock's someone who the only emotion you would see from him is like anger, really rage, like he's going to tear someone's head off. But seeing Brock Lesnar break down in the ring, do you think that was real? Do you think it was he knew how to milk the moment? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the thing with wrestling. Like, you never know, like what's a work, what's a shoot. That's the whole interesting thing. Like that's the great thing about it, and it's also the confusing thing about it. It's like you don't know what's real, what's not real. You know what I'm saying, or unreal. You know. But no, I mentioned earlier. Brock, he actually went off script at SummerSlam 2023. Took Cody's hand after their match. That wasn't script. That wasn't part of the script. He wasn't supposed to do that. So him actually showing emotion, like showing vulnerability, like we never see that from Brock. Him Heyman breaking down the tears, like we know Paul Heyman, he's a method actor. He gets in the character, but
Right,
but
right.
Heyman, he was like really balling. And for them to have that moment, like it's very poetic and very full circle because Paul Heyman brought Brock Lesnar onto the main roster. He brought Brock into the business, and it's kind of poetic that Brock ends his career with Heyman by his side. Even though they had, their little differences here and there over the years, but they still managed to come back together. So still for that moment, it was great just to have them two kind of end it. You know what I'm saying? Like if it is
Yeah.
the end, if it is, we don't know yet.
I kind of feel like Brock's someone who wants his mind's made up. It's made up though. I mean, but he's also a businessman, so the right offer, maybe he'll come. I think as far as him being a part of the roster, I think it's the end though. Well, he come back for a special appearance or a special one off in the future, maybe. But as far as him being kind of part of, he was never full time part of the roster, but being part of the roster, I think this is it though. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought like I had a feeling he was retiring this year because there were rumors,
There
and
were.
of course we know, they even announced it on the show, SummerSlam, Minneapolis, later this year in August. And Brock, it's his stomping grounds. He went to the University of Minnesota and everything, so he has roots there. So it would have made sense for him to retire at SummerSlam, especially the event which you could say made Brock Lesnar, the event where you could say the next big thing arrived, right? Because that's the same event where he beat The Rock, became the youngest WWE champion in history. He's had some memorable matches there too. So it would have been also poetic. Same thing with AJ Styles retiring at the Royal Rumble, how poetic that was. 10 years later to the same event that he debuted, he ends his career there too, his WWE career, you know. So that would
I
have,
liked it like this though.
yeah. Mania is definitely the
This
bigger stage and more memorable.
is,
So it makes sense
and he
that,
had the
yeah,
opponent.
yeah. And right upon, and he passed the torch. They always say you go out on your back, which I was kind of worried about because I was like, I don't know, Brock Lesnar, he might not be that type of guy to pass off the torch and go out on his back. Hey, kudos to him. Like, hey, shout out to him. He put over the young guy on his way out. And he made Oba look strong this whole feud. Like, that's something I don't think we've ever seen. That's something we don't talk about enough. Because usually, if you've been watching wrestling as long as like me and you have, like, whoever gets the upper hand more, usually they lose at the big show. I haven't seen anything like that since 2005, going into WrestleMania 21 when Batista uh, turned face and he went up against Triple H, and he had the upper hand going into it. And then when the match came, Batista looked dominant, and he beat Triple H in convincing fashion, beat Triple H bloody, and won the world title. So I haven't seen a performance like this since that moment in 2005 at 21.
All right. Yeah. That I mean, I don't know if you agree, but that I think is what will be the story to take away from WrestleMania
Absolutely.
42, like now and also in the future. I think it's this Brock and Obi match, and honestly, depending on Oba and what he does, it could be a legit Hogan versus Andre kind of moment.
I had that vibe too. I got that vibe too. Where,
Yeah,
where, where Hogan slamming Andre too.
yeah,
And they inducted that match into the Hall of Fame, the Immortal Moment.
they
Like
did. Yep.
like it's all just coming together. Like the universe is just coming together or something like that.
But now Hogan was hot before WrestleMania 3, and
Hmm.
then that took him to another level.
Yeah,
Oba doesn't have a Oba Mania yet, so that's the only difference I see. But maybe this can start it, and this will really be something if Oba can have that kind of career, and it really is a passing of the torch. I don't want it to be a Hogan Warrior kind of thing. I want it to be a Hogan Andre thing with this young man. But
absolutely, man.
man, a big up to Brock. I put it on our Twitter page like no matter how you feel about him, you got to tip your hat off to him for what he did tonight, but for a hell of a career. And, from you mentioned it, national champion in 2000 at the University of Minnesota, all the way through. I mean, he's been WWE youngest champion, then leaving controversial, trying out for the Vikings, not making it, then going on and going to UFC and having a meteoric rise, and then a fall, another rise, and then coming back to WWE. And probably you can make a case the biggest outside of maybe Cena, but maybe the biggest star of the 2010s was Brock Lesnar, right?
You can make a case, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely
So,
for the 2010s. Because
yeah.
he definitely dominated from 2012 all the way up until recently.
Hmm.
Whenever the end of his peak was. You know,
Yeah. I would say his peak probably slowed down like 2020.
yeah,
Like when Drew beat him and stuff, he
yes.
kind of slowed down. So that's why I look like 2012 to 2020. That was like his peak, and I got to give it to
And
him.
that's a
So
great run, and he accomplished a lot in that time. I know it's not popular, and I know we don't like it. He ended the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. You can't take that away from him. He's one of the longest reigning world champions in the modern era, just behind Roman Reigns by a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
he's definitely accomplished a lot in these 8 years.
So we have a lot, but now I think we got to go to the. If it wasn't up for Brock retiring, let's go to this main event here, man. Your boy Phil, aka CM Punk, going up against, acknowledge him, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And I said it on our prediction show what was needed for the business. I said our tribal chief needs to be the champion because this business needs him. It needs that jolt. And the powers that be listened, they understood. It was a really good match. I thought it was a good match in my opinion, but the bright person won. And I respect CM Punk. I really respect him since he's come back. I do feel like he's turned a new leaf, and that's real. That's not just putting on. But this needed the tribal chief needs that belt. And I think to CM Punk's credit, in my opinion, Tim, he doesn't need the belt to still have that pop. But the tribal chief needs it, and the business needs the tribal chief.
So you think Punk is like at Undertaker status in the mid 2000s where he could still be over and not need the belt? Is that where you think Punk is at now?
He's not as much as the Undertaker, nowhere near that level, but in a realm, yeah, I think there's an anti-establishment love for Punk that really has helped, and I do think Punk coming back without Vince kept that going. Where I think if Vince was still here and Punk came back, I kind of wonder if people would look at him. But it was kind of like, oh, he still was able to keep that "you're one of us" and you stuck it to WWE because he left and came back post Vince.
Well, Vince was technically still in the picture. Like when Punk came back, it wasn't until like January 2024 when the second scandal came out, and then Vince stepped down. So he was like in the picture, but not involved in the creative. I don't know how
That's
close.
what I'm talking.
Yeah. I don't,
No, see, I know like the timeline.
mhm.
For me, Vince wasn't it anymore.
Yeah.
Triple H was the guy that was running creative, and that's to me who you hear what Punk said, you hear what Triple H said. That's who was big in bringing them back together. And then he comes back late November 2023, Survivor Series. Vince is gone January. That was early January. I'm pretty sure he was gone. So I'm not going to count like a month of Vince being like in a figurehead kind of behind the scenes position, and then he got bounced. Punk, that was nothing to do with Vince. Like that was Punk and then Triple H's point. But I think, long story short, that's why Punk can be okay with this loss, and he still won't get lost in the shuffle. There's a anti-establishment love with him and the fans that's been established.
Yeah, because if Vince was still around, they definitely would have clashed, and it would have been another controversy or something like that. So
Yeah. Well, for me, I think I agree with you 100%. They would have clashed still. I just think maybe it's just me. If Vince was really still running like the creative and Punk came back, I think it would have been like, oh, like you're like every other person who says I'll never come back, and you did. But I think it kind of helps him that he came back with Vince being gone,
mhm.
and I think that makes the fans still feel like he's that rebel. He's for the people. He's our kind of guy. And I just think the match was a heck of a match. I like that CM Punk bled. There was violence. And I liked how Roman Reigns looked. Sometimes I think for a guy, he's in that Samoan dynasty lineage and how big of a beast he looks. Sometimes I think the booking can make him look too weak for my liking, but he looked strong tonight, in my opinion, Tim.
You thought he looked weak before, like even as a heel when he was the heel tribal chief?
think at I think when it comes to in the matches, sometimes, and I get it because he was the heel, but even as a babyface, sometimes I just felt
Oh
like
yeah, especially as a
he
baby
didn't
face.
look he didn't look as dominant as he physically looks and how he should be. Not now I know he can sell and he would sell, sometimes oversell. But I'm like I like tonight where I felt like he was the dominant guy and he was made to look dominant tonight. I appreciated that.
But yeah, he was getting ugly there for a few points in that match. Like, and I wasn't sure, like, was this a no DQ match? Because there was a point where Roman hit Punk with the steel stairs, and that's how Punk got busted open. And the ref just let it fly. I was like, okay, we're going there. I was like, all right, I mean, tribal chief. I guess he runs this right now. So but yeah, like yeah, Roman was taking Punk, as Jr. would say, to the woodshed.
Mhm.
He was whipping the pillars of posts. But Punk got his licks in too. I thought it was funny. He took that Ulafala off the fan, try to mock Reigns and stuff like that. Like you could tell they was having fun. Like that's the thing about Punk, and as you mentioned earlier, like Punk, you can tell he's like really enjoying himself. He's comfortable, and it's like with Vince gone, it's like a weight lift off his shoulders. Like he doesn't have that shadow, that black cloud over him. He can be himself. He can have fun. You could tell him and Roman at certain points when they were like mocking each other, stealing each other's moves, like they were enjoying themselves. They were having fun in that match, and it shows. Like, and they have great chemistry too. Like they have really good chemistry.
They do.
You know,
They
and
do.
it shows.
They do. This made you feel good about this being the main event, though. Like, how did this match overall for you?
Yeah, like I said on the prediction show, like the best thing they got going for them is just to deliver when the match matters. When the bell rings, that's all that matters. Just go out there and deliver, and they did. Because we know the build up, it was a little shaky. A little shaky. It was going up and down. Weren't sure what was going on, and you got a lot
You
of
can come with it, man. Come with it. It was
yeah.
shaky. The highlight was CM Punk saying Pat McAfee. Like, that was the highlight.
It started off great with that first promo after the Royal Rumble, with Roman picking Punk and them telling each other how much they hate each other and everything. And then after that, Roman disappeared and Punk went on his side quest dealing with Finn Balor for like the last 3 weeks in February. And then that kind of like killed the momentum a little bit because Roman's gone. And then it's like when Roman came back, you got Jey Uso involved, then you get Pat McAfee involved and stuff. Like it's too much outside stuff. And then they're like when they get into each other's face and they start getting personal, it's like they're not really going at it. It's like, you want to make this person, you say how much you hate each other, but then y'all holding back. You know what I'm saying?
Can, you mind real quick if I ask you a side question that just popped in my mind? Because obviously with Roman and bad fighting the leukemia and stuff, like that's why he has to watch it, so we definitely understand
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I remember a couple years ago, you and I talked about when Roman and Cody had that filmed thing at Georgia Tech and how cool that looked.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to make up for like we know Roman can't be on the road all the time and all that stuff. But do you think like if you think because I'm wondering if Roman could handle like some filmed stuff by himself or maybe with that opponent or whoever he's feuding with, if that could kind of fill in the gaps. Because imagine to me if you couldn't in those weeks that you didn't have Roman after like it was announced, but like you had when Roman wasn't there, you had some filmed vignette or some filmed, especially the way it can look now compared to like the early '90s or something like that. You think that would help, or am I just crazy?
No, that will definitely help. But the thing is, though, with that type of production, you gotta plan that like in advance because that sort of thing you can tell is like a little expensive than what they usually do with their usual production because it's a little bit more glossy, more filtered out and stuff. Editing and all that stuff you have to do, add the music, so that's kind of expensive and time consuming. So they would have to plan it out like a few months in advance. But it can be done though. It can be done. It all depends on like Roman's schedule and what they have lined up for him. I mean, you say he's needed, but I'm just like, it's a good chance we won't see that title again until like July, getting ready to SummerSlam, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I don't know. He delivered before,
Yeah,
has he? Did he not?
I mean, yeah, we know he's box office, but it's like because of his part-time schedule, is he going to defend the title or are we going to get a title match at Backlash, at Clash in Italy? Like, we
Were you worried? Were you saying this when he gave us that historic run to begin the decade, when he saved the company in the most bizarre, confusing times during the pandemic? Were you saying that
well,
then,
he
or
was
were
on
you talking about
was on TV more then because they were in the Thunderdome. They didn't have to travel as much.
he was on
He was
exactly?
on TV a lot more, but see, that's the difference now because he's not on TV as much now. You know what I'm saying? So that's my only
I think he knows.
concern.
I think you won't get anything at Backlash, but I'm thinking after that, the next PLE, you'll see him.
Yeah,
I think Backlash is too soon, probably. But you're going to get Roman. You're going to get enough of them. They're going to use them.
yeah, because that type
I believe it.
that type of thing, it worked when he was a heel, being the part-time champ. Because it's like, okay, he's a heel, he's holding the title hostage. It worked with Brock because he was a heel. That sort of thing, it works with the heel being the part-time champ because it's like, it's a privilege to see the champion and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they're treating him like he's a prize fighter. So I get that, but it worked as a heel, as a baby face or tweener, whatever he's at
But
now.
to say he's a tweener,
Yeah,
really?
because well, I know he's not a heel for sure. He's definitely not a heel.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, somewhere in between like a tweener or a face or something like that. But I just feel like that sort of thing is not going to fly, because
He doesn't move as a face though. Like nothing I feel like he's more tweener to heel, where Punk is like tweener to face.
hmm
Punk's not a heel at all. You know that as of right now. Like same with like if you want to say like Randy Orton was just heel,
yeah,
but then the crowd makes him a tweener.
yeah,
So there is a
hmm
difference. But everything Randy Orton did was heel. Like there's no doubt about it. They're just the crowd just likes him and is tired of Cody. I'm not taking a shot at Cody. I'm not taking a shot at Cody. I'm just saying that's just what it
hmm
was. You know what I'm saying? I'm not coming at Cody on that line. Promise you.
I think it's just with Randy. I think it's just a respect thing. You go back 20 years ago, 2006. Going into WrestleMania 22, John Cena versus Triple H. Cena, he was the babyface, but the fans, they were rebelling against him and they were cheering for Triple H, who was clearly the heel, you know. But it's because Triple H had that seniority and I guess that respect factor. It's like, even though he's the heel, it's like, okay, you had a lot of people who were like Attitude Era fans, and Cena, they were fans of Cena, but once he switched up and stopped rapping and ditched the thugonomics thing, they kind of rebelled against that. So that's how people ended up switching up on Cena and they went for Triple H. Similar to what happened with Cody and Randy on night one on Saturday.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. This match went for a good while
Yeah.
here.
Probably the longest match of both nights, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because when John Cena as the host said the main event's coming up, I'm like, we're just about at 9 o'clock here, and I'm like, wow, like we're starting this thing early here.
Yeah. It flew by.
This is the strangest kind of wrestle as far as that. Like I'm used to WrestleMania ending, it still be going on now. Like it is 10:20 Eastern
Yeah.
time. As I say
It,
that, usually WrestleMania is still going on.
it probably won't end usually on its usual time, like 11:30, something like that.
And some years it was midnight.
Yeah.
So this is weird that we're but
Is this a
I
rec-
thought
is this a record? Like as the shortest length for WrestleMania?
I would want to. I feel well. Remember, it's 2 nights too,
Yeah.
so that's weird. But for like what time they end,
Because last night ended kind of early too, like around
yeah,
like around
yeah.
10 or
I'm gonna
9:30
say
ish.
no. I want to say no because I feel like some of those early ones started like early in the day. Like they weren't like
hmm
prime time,
Yeah.
like WrestleMania 1 and 3. Like they started like early on like a Sunday or something like that.
hmm
So I feel like if you go by time, no, like when it ends, but maybe length of how long a WrestleMania. If you separate both nights, maybe it could be the shortest WrestleManias. Like night one against like other WrestleManias, night two. This one might be the short. I feel like it's shorter than the other since they've gone to 2 night WrestleManias. This feels like the shortest one.
Absolutely. And I think WrestleMania 35 still holds the record for the longest WrestleMania because I think that went on for like at least a good maybe 5.5 hours. Like,
I was going to say 5. I thought like yeah, close to
yeah, because
6.
they went on like well past midnight. It didn't end till like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's when
And that started at 7,
yeah,
right?
at
That
7.
year.
Yeah. And that's when
Yeah.
that's when the ladies, that's when they closed the show and they didn't go on until after midnight, you know.
It was long. It was long.
Yeah. So that was
It
a
was
full that was a
long.
full-time job.
No, that's when I was like, we need the Saturday nights. Even if it was one night, I'm like, don't make these PLEs on Sundays anymore
Yeah.
because it was hard. That one and the heist of the century. They were hard going to work the next day. Like I was like, I was
Yeah.
struggling, and I was in my 20s at the time, and I was struggling. So I'm glad they have it the way it is now, but I was impressed. I thought they did a good job as the main event. It was good. I wouldn't call it a great match, but it was good. I was
Yeah,
impressed.
I tip my hat to those guys, man. They did their thing on that one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we got to go to the match of the night, though. I'm thinking that Intercontinental ladder match was probably the best match of the entire event. Would you say?
Yeah. Now, before that match, I probably would have said Seth and Gunther, but I knew we had one more night to get through, so I was going to hold judgment. But yeah, definitely match of the whole weekend because that match, probably the most insane ladder match, one of the most insane ladder matches I've probably seen in quite a while. I mean, I know there's been a ton of ladder matches over the decades and stuff, especially at WrestleMania.
Over 30 years
And
now.
you go to Shawn and Razor or The ladder matches with Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, and some of those other Intercontinental title matches, from like a decade ago, from WrestleMania 31 and 32. So yeah, definitely been some incredible ladder matches, but man, that one they cooked with that one. They were in their bag on that one. They cooked.
And it was a good build up too. It wasn't like right away splashing. Because at first the match was like okay to me, but then it built up and then they took it higher, higher, and I like matches like
Yeah,
that.
that's old school. That's textbook. That's how Shawn and Razor. That's they pretty much laid the blueprint for that. You know what I'm saying? So you can say they probably studied film probably on that match or something like that. But like you said, it's like because the town is younger and a little bit more agile. You got some of the greatest high flyers in that match, like Rey Mysterio, a legend, high flying legend. And then you got a newcomer like Javon Evans, who you could say was probably the MVP of that match, and also a young.
What, really?
I mean, you can make a case
I mean, he was good in
you can
it.
make
He was good
you
in
can
it.
make a case he was one of them because everybody else that's the thing. Everybody shined in this match. Everybody had a moment to shine. Like nobody felt left out. Everybody had a moment to shine. From Javon, Dragon Lee had a moment. Penta, even
I
Rusev had
thought
even Rusev had some good spots in there too.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, no one. Everyone did well.
Yes,
But if I had to choose MVP, I'm looking at Penta or Dragon Lee.
Yeah, I mentioned Dragon Lee too. Yeah,
I think Dragon Lee over Javon might be not a. And this thing, everyone was MVP level when this they did their
yes,
job. Might be fourth though because JD McDonough. That was the biggest shock for me.
mm,
I'm not the big as far as in the ring. Now JD's funny outside. I like laughing at JD, so that I do appreciate JD McDonough. But in the ring, I don't have many. He's just like a good jobber. He gets beat, does his job. That's what he's there for. But he was in it and gave a good show. So he might be my number 3 for this match. Me
yeah,
personally,
yeah. JD, he looked good in this match. You know what? I wouldn't be mad at anybody winning this match and walking away with the title. Like you can make a case for
right,
for any of these guys. Like even Ray.
right.
I know Ray's the veteran. He don't really need it, but still, like you can make a case that anybody could have walked away with the gold. JD McDonough, like this would have been a great opportunity for him to finally win some singles gold. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, everybody did their thing, especially Javon with that OG cutter off the top rope and catching Rusev on the ladder. Like that was insane. Or Ray or Penta launching Ray with the senton into Rusev and they break through the ladder and then Ray like accidentally hits his face on the ladder and stuff. Like that looked crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like tons of great
I
spots, man.
yeah,
Crazy
so
spots.
many great spots. Now that OG cutter that Mr. Evans hit on Rusev. What did you think of that move?
I mean, I thought it was definitely highlight worthy for sure. Definitely crazy. Kind of reminded me of like I mean, I know it's different moves, but kind of took me back to like when Edge speared Jeff Hardy in the air and stuff at 17. Yeah, I thought it was a good spot. Like, what'd you think?
I thought it looked great at first, but then, and now to be fair to the listeners, to myself, to you, I need to do it again. But the replays, I think, which is great that WWE has great production and camera, but sometimes those I've noticed over the years, those replays, they get so in depth, you can see the work more.
Yeah,
You can see like it's like, oh, when you watch it live, it's like, oh, did he really hit his head or did she do this? And then you see the replay, it's like, oh, you can see how the magic's made. And I felt like with that OG cutter, that's what I got. When I got the initial thing, I was like, oh man.
yeah.
And then the replay, I was like, did he even land? It felt like the Dwight Howard dunk contest when you're like, he Supermaned it, and then like you watch the highlight and it's like he didn't even dunk it. He just jumped and he like threw it in. That's kind of how that felt for
I
me.
get what you're saying, and I'm sure for people that are tuning in right now, like they know, like they're in on the business stuff. They know how everything works. So if you're watching, it's like you already know, how the business works and everything. So you don't have to be surprised. And of course, we know as well. And I even peeped on the replay. You can see like Rusev kind of like lean forward a little bit so Javon can
Yeah,
catch him.
right,
I
right,
mean, the
right.
main thing is like I said, like your opponent, they're your partner, so you want to make sure you protect each other and everything too. You know what I'm saying? To make sure you execute the
There
move.
still needs to be a little bit of like the magic to this though. And they have it, but I do that's where old school wrestling people where they're like there's no magic. I'm kind of like, all right, you're kind of get off my lawn. But there's a little bit where there's some things it's like we still need to be like, how much did it? How much did that happen? How much? You know, it's predetermined. You know, there's a partnership there, but it's still like sometimes don't show that angle or run it back real quick on a replay.
That's what I think it is. It's like when they showed the replays and they're showing different angles. I think that's what kind of ruined the spot a little bit. Like it's still a great spot, you know what I'm saying? It's still like a great mania moment, But I think to your point, when they showed the different angles, they should have just kept it at one angle, you know,
Right.
just keep it right there, just to kind of hide, the bad spots and stuff. Because even like the mics and stuff have gotten better too, because you can kind of hear them calling spots a little bit, like go to the ropes, go to the ropes. I'm like, why can I hear you right now? Unless they're talking like really loud or the mics are just that
No, I
accurate.
think it's that good. I mean, it could be both. Because if you're in a big arena, a lot of people, maybe you are trying to scream a little bit louder so that your opponent can hear.
Hmm.
But you're right though. I've heard it over the years when I'm like, I go back in time. I'm like, I like read lips if I wanted to see, and sometimes they would hide that well. But if you were watching, you could see back in like the '90s. I'm going through, not even way back '90s. You could read some lips
Well,
sometimes.
I think because I know you watch a lot of documentaries and of course we know about the business and how it works now. So now we're older and we go back and watch the old stuff. We pick up on a lot of things that we missed as kids. So I think that's kind of what ruined the magic. I mean, I'm still a fan. I'm sure you're still a fan too.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that's what it is. It's like we know too much about the business, so it's like we pick up on things. Like we know they're calling spot. Like that's why a lot of wrestlers they keep their hair long so that when you think they're like getting in their face and talking trash, but no, they're trying to call a spot, but their long hair is covering their mouth, so you can't read their lips. Like similar to like a coach, on football, like they use the pad, they use they like pads to cover their mouth or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not calling the plays or they don't see anybody calling the plays. So I think that's all it is. That's like one of the little trades they use in the business to get around that.
No, I just think though with I'm not even talking about us. I mean, a little bit of like I don't want to see that sometimes because it takes away like it's like for like a minute I was like I knew Rusev live leaned in a little bit. I could see that like when it happened, but for a minute I was like, did he really fly across and do that? And then I was like, replay happens, and I'm like, he didn't. Like I was like, oh okay, like so. I don't know. That's just me. And I will say this: kids are smart, so kids know it's predetermined. But you don't want to lose that magic too.
Hmm.
Kids know how it's done now, but if you highlight the hell out of something, you'll lose the kids too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just that's the one downside being in this social media like viral moment type of era that we're in. You got to keep replaying the same thing over and over again. Till you beat the dead horse and stuff.
But this was exciting.
Yes,
This to me is the best match of the weekend.
yes,
I agree. I'm like clap it up for these guys. They should be applauded because it's probably one of the matches with the least amount of fanfare. I feel going into this weekend. So I think that's cool. That a lot of times anyone can steal the show, and these men did tonight in spectacular fashion. Best night, best match of the weekend.
absolutely, man, and definitely congrats to Penta. And like I said, anybody could have won this match, and this is a big moment for Penta. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, sky's the limit for him, and we'll see where this takes him. With the IC title going forward post Mania. So we'll see. But hey, you could tell they got big plans for him. Like they want him to be like the next Rey Mysterio.
I'm curious of for both nights, but especially night two. You mentioned on our preview show, night one, the first hour on ESPN2. Tonight, Sunday night, night one, first hour on the big ESPN. I'm curious to see if that made a difference. Like, I wonder if you had a lot more people doing buy rates and
I think
stuff.
it did. I think it did, and
Both nights or just one night?
I think it played a part for both nights because
Okay.
you look at the cards for both night, and you look at the matches that they selected. Like you can tell, like they knew what they was doing when they had Brock and Oba. They knew what they was
Oh
doing, putting
yeah.
down on the main ESPN because you're not going to put down ESPN two. You went down on the main ESPN. The ladder match, you want that on ESPN. You don't want that on because they know more people are going to tune into the main ESPN than ESPN two. Not saying they won't.
Absolutely.
Not saying they won't watch ESPN two also, but you already know it's a pecking order of things, right? Just like MTV, MTV2, you know what I'm saying? The NBA, the G League, so like it's a pecking order of certain things. So Yeah, they knew what they was doing, man.
But I don't know if I want to see the number. I want to see if they will release something because I think night one I was like, oof. When I was that first hour, I'm like, this could hurt you. No one's going to want to switch over. And then night two, I'm like, man, I would want to switch over. Now I watched it on regular on the app the whole time, so I wasn't one of those
Yeah,
people having to switch over. But I was curious to see because I think tonight they picked the best two matches to start the event. They were
absolutely.
smart tonight.
Yes.
And so big up to those two matches. We look at it. We can go to your boy Trick Williams and Sami Zayn,
Whoop
Lil
that
Yachty.
trick. Whoop that trick.
Lil Yachty was out there.
Little boat.
It was an okay
It
match.
was okay, but hey, the right
It was
hey,
all
hey
right.
look, the right guy went over. That's all that matters. The right person went over.
The right person did go over.
Yes, yes.
Right person did go over. You see though how they're talking about Sami Zayn, and he was too nice, and now he's trying to get there. That could be Cody soon if you don't watch it.
Well, you see, I think I mentioned earlier off air that they were planning on doing like a double turn type of thing, and I think that's how it played out because you saw the fans like every time Sammy got some offense in, the boos got louder and louder. Every time Sammy got some offense in, and even Sammy, the way he was acting like was a little bit heelish too. He was like, stomping on Trick's face, mushing him. You know what I'm saying? Like he even tried to take advantage when Trick was down and the referee was checking on him. The same way he beat Carmelo for the title, taking advantage of an opportunity. I mean, that's what Cody and Randy told him to do. Like, you gotta have that killer instinct. It's just that, he I don't know, we're gonna see Sammy kind of like unravel, I feel like, after this. And we're gonna see him turn more to a dark side. It's needed. Like he needs like a refresh, like a restart, because we've seen the same old underdog, Sami Zayn. He hasn't really been, if I'm being honest, he hasn't really been that interesting since like the Bloodline saga ended.
Right.
Like the honorary Oos was like his best thing he's done. And he hasn't really had anything, interesting to work with
He was good for a
since
little
then.
while there,
Yeah,
yeah, and then that match with Kevin Owens was like his last one.
yeah,
That was like the last thing with Sammy, honestly,
yeah,
and sadly Kevin Owens too.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, by the grace of God, if everything goes well, hopefully that's not Kevin Owens' last match, because he is definitely missed for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I wish he for sure could have been used this weekend. He might be outside of like Bianca Belair, which we'll get to that.
Yes.
Like he might be number two of like, man, they could have used you this weekend,
Hmm.
like in a lot of ways. But Trick Little Yachty, as I know the celebrity factor, he gets to help out and stuff like that. Trick Williams, for me, I'm gonna say it here. I like the young man. Say I'm rooting for the brother. I really am. But I'm gonna say it here. He's setting up right now, in my opinion, to be another Jey Uso,
Mm.
which is it's fun for the crowd. Yeet, and then now you got whoop that trick. It's fun to say, but I need a little bit more from you, brother.
Well,
I'm not saying he will be, but to me, that's what I can see setting up for him if he's not
I,
careful.
I get what you're saying. He's a charismatic guy, catchy theme and stuff like that. A chant that's easy to kind of get behind. I get what you're saying. I see where this is going. But here's where Trick separates himself from Jay. Is that Trick, he's a lot more better on the mic and more comfortable speaking than Jay is. Where Jay, you can see he relies a lot on the yeet in between, like as a period at the end of every sentence. You know, I get that's his thing, and I know Stone Cold did it too. But at least Austin, he can add more, to his promos and stuff other than what. You know what I'm saying? Like what? He can get creative with stuff. Where Jay, he just relies on the yeet, and sometimes he even like we've seen him kind of like flubber a little bit in his promos too, or he gets lost and forgets what he's going to say. So I don't know if he's like nervous or something like that, but you can tell like Jimmy was like the backbone of those promos when the Usos were together as a tag team.
He's just a smoother
Yes. Yeah,
communicator than what
Jimmy
Jay
is
is.
clearly the better talker between the two of them. I mean, I know Jay, he can talk to, he's charismatic, but Jimmy is more comfortable like talking, and Jay just feeds off him. But Trick,
Jay's good. Jay's good in the backstage segments when he's getting interviewed by somebody, or like just an interaction with him and Priest and Dom or something like that,
yeah,
or him and Sam. Jay can do good in
I
those.
know I noticed that too. So I don't know if it's like stage fright, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to come at him because I know, like, hey, it happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's people out there that deal with anxiety and stuff like that. So I think once he started going off on his own, he didn't have his brother by his side to kind of like, I guess you could say hold his hand. I guess it kind of made him a little nervous, you know what I'm saying? So, but Trick, he's clearly comfortable on the mic, so he has a lot more to offer. I feel like as far as his promos, like you saw it like with his promo, he cut on Sami Zayn, calling him the gingerbread man, ginger ale, ginger snaps. So he has the disc records and stuff he be releasing on IG and stuff. So he's a lot more well rounded and stuff like on the mic, and he's definitely getting better in the ring as well. My only thing is with this match, you could have easily made this a triple threat. You could have added Carmelo Hayes into this. It's no reason why Carmelo should have been left off this match or off the show completely.
It would have added to the match.
Yes, like you know what I'm saying, especially with like he has history with Trick too from NXT that you could have added on, and I know it's rumors that him and Trick will continue their feud for NXT going to the summer. So post Mania, we will get Trick and Mello picking back up where they left off in NXT. But you could have planted the seeds at WrestleMania in this triple threat. Because Trick, he did accidentally cost Mello the title anyway, so Mello already has a gripe and a reason to get a rematch. And then of course we know Trick and Sammy had their differences too. So you could have like satisfied everybody and had everybody involved and stuff like that. So especially since Melo put the whole SmackDown brand on his back with those United States Championship Open challenges for like the last 3 months, you got to give him something. Especially since he missed WrestleMania last year, and the only consolation prize they gave him was okay, he wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and that's not even part of WrestleMania anymore. Like it's part of SmackDown the night before. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it kind of means something, but it doesn't really. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't mean
So
nothing.
it's like,
It don't mean nothing.
and it's like now it's the second Mania he's missed, and he's been on the main roster 2 years now. So
That thing meant something once that was, and it didn't. Nothing came from it with Cesaro.
yeah,
That was the only, and that was at WrestleMania
yeah,
when he threw out Big Show.
yeah. Like if they had kept it on WrestleMania, okay, at least he's on the card. The title don't really mean nothing, for winning that battle royal. I mean, the only person that really did something with it, like okay, at least Jay, he won the battle royal, but and at least he won the world title at some point. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't really mean anything.
I think you are correct in that Trick is better on the mic for promos than what Jay is. I'm just hoping he keeps developing into a well-rounded performer and a well-rounded character. Right now, it's not that to me, but it's entertaining. I'm not saying he's not. Just like Jay was entertaining for a while until it wasn't. I think Trick is on he can go. He's on like a crossroad. He can go a big star and can be rivaling Oba to be the next big thing, or we can look at it like next year WrestleMania and he's in a cluster of a match with like a bunch of people and he's just a name.
Oh God,
I think that's where he's on. Huh?
I said, oh God, I said, I hope not.
That's where he's at to me though. He's on a
Yeah,
crossroad,
and you're not.
and I'm hoping he goes to the right
Yeah,
way.
and you're not wrong. Like it could go either way. Life is funny like that, especially in this business. Like you could be up one moment and you could be down. So we've seen people like that. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but we have seen people like that who've been at the top and then they fell off. At one point, The Miz had main event at WrestleMania, and he hasn't gotten back to that point since then. It's been like 15 years.
No, he's just a joke at WrestleMania now,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So
and including this year, which is why you said this night's fantastic. This is one of the reasons why it's not. What the hell were they doing
we talking
with that
with the
thing?
Danhausen spot.
Yeah, and now we're not offending anybody. They want to be called midgets, and the midgets here. That was stupid.
We'll just say the Little Housing so we don't get canceled on our behalf. They Michael Cole said they got permission, but we didn't get permission, so we'll just call them the Little Housings, I guess.
They're called midgets. That's what they said. They call them mid. And you told that's because Michael Cole's promoting that out for
Yeah.
everybody. So he's saying Michael Cole's saying they want to be called that. So I'm respecting the individuals. I'm not coming at. I have no problem saying any other like, little person or dwarf or however you want to say it. I go by how you want it to be called. I respect that decision for every individual human being. They told Michael Cole via WWE or WWE via Michael Cole they won't be called midgets. So I'm calling them. You can do what you want to do. I'm gonna call them
Yeah.
what they asked though. That way they ain't mad at
Well,
me.
let me
I'm gonna tell them come for Tim Lewis.
well let me just say this. because we were talking about on our Elimination Chamber reaction, and we were kind of like confused by his debut, and I know that like the debut was like random too and kind of confusing. And we were like, well, how is he going to bounce back from this? And you look over the past month and a half, he's been getting over. Like clearly, he just had a bad night at the chamber. You know what I'm saying? They put him in the wrong spot. He was just misbooked. He wasn't booked in the right spot. That probably would have got over NXT or something like that, or they could have used him somewhere else. But in the backstage segments, like that's gotten them over in this last month and a half. And you saw the fans, they were behind him this time. So, I mean, it's for him, like he got his Mania moment. It's a great way for him to bounce back. Whether you love it or hate it or not, like he bounced back from
You
that.
think that? I mean, I know you always put positive spins on everything.
I'm not saying
So
I'm not
I shouldn't have asked you.
I'm not saying
But
it was the highlight of the night, but I'm saying like he did bounce.
you think it was good?
It was. I got a chuckle out of it, but I didn't think it was like great or good or whatever. It was
You
just.
thought it was good. All right.
I thought
I'm
I thought it was like okay.
It didn't stink to you,
It didn't stink, but it wasn't like great.
really? Because you know what I saw watching that. Not what I saw. Well, I guess what I saw, but what I thought is for this is the fodder that the AEW people and I'm not trying to say you can't love both, but the AEW or TNA, the fans who want to bash WWE, I'm like, this is why they bash me. You're giving them like room to do it. It's like this kind of you're really making it like a three-ring circus here, like which it kind of is. Pro wrestling is, but now like you're really like don't going into it. That's what I thought. I go, this is fodder for the people who hate the product to just bash it.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but also you also said wrestling. It started as a carny event. Like they started wrestling at the fairgrounds back in the day and stuff like that as a carny event. Like, and throughout history, especially throughout WWE, we've seen like these type of characters: the Gobbledygooker, Doink the Clown, Santino. You know, even as recently as R-Truth, like we have these type of characters throughout history and stuff. AEW's even had Danhausen first. He came from there. You know what I'm saying? But they did nothing with him. TNA's had these type of characters.
You give me the Gobbledygooker, the Shock Match. They're all made fun of. Doink the Clown was dark at first when Matt Bourne played him. Doink was different. Then he became a joke. But if you watch Doink at first, it was funny, but like a dark, twisted thing. I don't put him in that category. He was not the original Doink. Santino was comedic, but he wasn't. He was used just way better than what this is. I don't know. I'm totally down for comedic wrestlers. The Miz to me is a comedic wrestler. Like honestly,
I
like
think Miz is really the unsung hero in the segment because he actually kept the flow going. You know what I'm saying? Because it was already cheesy, but Miz, he has that comedic timing to where he can just make anything work. You know what I'm saying? Regardless. John Cena, he's just there. He's just there. But yeah, it is what it is. It's like it's not like a highlight to me, but I didn't think it was like terrible just because I've seen Danhausen in the segments leading up to it, and I've seen him getting over.
he sucked.
Have you
He was on First Take sucking.
That's just part of his. That's part of the gag, though. It's just part of his gag.
I can't wait for the day we're on air. You say something sucks or something stinks, however you want to say it. You have yet to do it, man. If Danhausen is good, I don't know what'll make you. That was a waste of time.
I just said the build for WrestleMania was lackluster.
That's not saying it sucks. That's just saying it's you said underwhelming or something like.
It's the same thing. Same thing.
And that's the bad part. If that's like the harshest critique, and we're doing this show almost a year, the harshest critique you could say it was underwhelming. You like Danhausen?
Look, I can't help it. I'm just optimistic. You know what I'm saying? Like I see the good and the bad in things. I see how things can, they can be better, but I can also see like it's not as good as it should be. You know what I'm saying? So I see both sides of it. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's fine too. I think some things you can be respectful, but it's true. Like it stunk. It wasn't good. I'm not saying Danhausen's a bad performer or WWE, those creatives don't do a good job or don't have a tough job. I can see there's two things can be true, but that one missed.
I mean, 50,000 people were cheering his name and chanting "You are cursed" in unison. So
Yeah, they were doing that because they done spent money. If you're at a live event, it's totally different if you're
Well,
there.
he sold out.
Like, even the bad stuff, you're just the spectacle.
Well,
You know what I'm
he
saying?
sold out all his merch like literally the next day after he debuted. After the botch debut, when everybody was booing, and then somehow he still sold out his merch. He's got fans somewhere, you know.
I think that's more about the people, and that's where we should question, and that's for another episode. But I think that's all I think about. That doesn't surprise me. That's just more about what that says about the consumer. You know what I'm saying? That's all it says. It's same with them cheering that
I
on.
mean,
That's the consumer.
people gonna like what they like, you know. And it's not just WWE. Like wrestling has these type of characters. Like AEW has these type of characters. You literally have, and not to come at like Orange Cassidy, but he's a guy that wrestles with his hands in his pockets. You know, I know he's like more. He can go in the ring, and Dan Helson can actually wrestle too, a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? So that's the
You should just wrestle at this point.
that's the thing. But it's like Orange Cassidy is like, because he can go in the ring, we kind of excuse that. But you look at his character, he's just like a lazy boy, you know, got the shades, he wrestles with his hands in his pockets. We let that slide. TNA had Shark Boy, they had Curry Man, Jay Lethal was Black Machismo,
You don't
you
have
know.
to do that with me.
Yeah.
You have to do that with me. I know what's
Yeah,
up.
I'm just saying for our listeners and stuff that probably don't know, that probably missed that, you know.
No, I'm just saying, like, those who want to that's to me their biggest thing that they bash. It's that cartoonish stuff.
I know, and I know they're going to have something to say. I'm just pointing out the other examples too, just in case people forgot or
Hmm.
don't remember, you know.
I hear you. I'm just saying WWE's come a long way through different eras and stuff like that. I don't think they need to go back to that kind of thing. I think that doesn't do them not in any fashion. Like, I think that's just lame.
So you don't think Dan House will grow on you?
This version, not really. No.
So if he if he tweaked his character a little bit, maybe got a little bit more serious, would that get you? Would that make you a fan housing?
Let's go to the next. Let's go to the women's championship was up in both nights. They're different, but tonight was Jade versus Rhea Ripley. I predicted Rhea to get the W. I believe she did. You predicted Jade. She did perform well,
Yes.
so I was happy to see that. I do think the title needed to go to Rhea. It was tired. It was getting boring and tired on Jade. You needed Rhea with that belt. What were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, this wasn't a bad match, and you know, for the people saying that Jay can't wrestle, like we were talking about it earlier, I think off air too. Um, if you go back and watch her match against Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam last year, they had a pretty slept on, solid match. You know, so Jade, she has proven in the past that she can go. So like she's had some good matches with Naomi last year, you know, at Mania and at Evolution and that No Holds Barred match. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so we know Jade can go. It's just that recently during this title reign, she hasn't had a whole lot to do, you know. And I think
Right.
it's not her, it's not on her. That's on creative now, you know, putting her in the right spot. Like you said, she could have went to NXT, did some stuff there, got her skills sharpened up. But also, like I said too, they didn't have enough competition for enough credible faces. Jordan Grace, she was injured. Tiffany Stratton was injured. You know, Charlotte and Alexa, they're in the tag team division. They're preoccupied right now. So it wasn't enough. So they had to bring in Rhea. And Bianca, she's still out. She has another situation that we'll get into later. But so it wasn't like a whole lot for her to do, a whole lot of people to go up against. So I will agree, like, yeah, this was the right move. And maybe Rhea can bring the title back up because there are a lot more heels, I feel like, on SmackDown than there is on Raw. And Rhea, she needs like a change of scenery anyway. You know, she's been on Raw for a long time. Give her like a fresh start, give her something to do. So
Rhea looks like I try to cut you off, but looks like she went down in like weight classes.
yeah, I noticed that too. I mean, I wasn't gonna like focus on that, you know, because it's like
No,
a woman's body and everything. But
I'm not coming at her body. I'm just saying I think there needs to be an adjustment then in our thought process of Rhea, and then also a little bit of how she's booked. Because to me, with Rhea not being as like physically like muscular, then like it didn't look the same against Jade tonight.
yeah,
Then like if Rhea like when Rhea was muscular, but like wrestling Charlotte Flair, that was like two Titans head to head. But
Even last
noticing
year, Mania, like it's if you compare how she looked last year in Vegas to this year, like it's a complete 180, a complete
I feel
contrast.
like that's where it
Yeah,
changed.
like right after Mania, you can see.
You started seeing even that match with Io where Naomi came in, and you could see a little bit of change, and it kind of went from there. And it's her body, her choice. Not that it matters what we think, but we support it. I'm just saying now, I almost feel like Rhea has to wrestle differently, because she is the believability isn't there.
Yeah,
And that's just me. I don't know how you
yeah. I
feel.
mean, and she's still in shape. She might be a little like she
Absolutely,
just because she's a little bit more lean, a little bit slimmer. She's still in shape. Definitely a lot better shape than me. You know what I'm saying, for sure.
me
She
too.
could definitely body slam me. Um, but it's just I think she said like she was dealing with like a eating disorder. You know what I'm saying? So I guess she's dealing with some personal stuff. Health wise. I also heard maybe it was like a back injury, so she had to like drop some muscle to take the pain off the back or whatever like that. So now can she get that muscle back? Of course. It just all depends on what she's dealing with and taking care of that. But yeah, I think if she's gonna stay this size for now, she definitely would have to adjust her repertoire, her offense and stuff. Because her being mommy, what I'm saying, that came from her being like built like China, what I'm saying, like this big muscular like Amazon like goddess, what I'm saying, and she kind of lost that aura, what I'm saying, respect. I mean that respectfully, um, so she would have to, figure something out and change up her game. It was still a good match though, what I'm saying, but it's just as far as believability, like you see Jade, like she looks, not trying to like focus too much on women's physique and all that stuff like that, trying to be respectful. You see Jade, like she looks imposing, and she's towering over Rhea. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how tall Rhea is, but you can see Jade like tower over Rhea, and she looks, more bigger, more muscular than her. It's like, and Jade was dominating. So in that aspect, that did kind of look believable because Jade did dominate majority of the match and stuff like that. So that did look
Yeah,
believable. So I don't,
that's why I said
yeah.
also our expectations have to change. Because it's not the same. Because yeah, I don't. With wrestlers, you can wear boots, and I feel like Jade is probably legit like 3 inches taller than Rhea. I would say like
She like 5'11", 5'10", or 6 feet.
who
Jade,
Jade.
Jade.
I thought like 5'10".
Okay, I know she's
I
pretty
could
tall.
be
I know she's
off.
pretty tall. I know she,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I just think like it got hyped like it's a heavyweight bout, and then when you watch in the ring, it's like no, it wasn't that, and that's all I'm saying. Now BFAB and all that. I wasn't a big fan of having that, but it set up EO's little nice return. So it made it like okay to me. But I would rather not having any of them in there
You thought it should have just been Rhea and Jade solo?
for the whole time.
Yeah,
But like EO coming out helped it a little bit. Because honestly, why did you need BFAB and them to Jade's dominating? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you need them?
because she's a heel and heels cheat. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man. That's so 80s. You have to read between the lines, and you have to use that. You have to use that smart now. You can't just use that all the
Well,
time.
they look at the time when they came out. Like when they came out, Rhea had gained the upper hand on Jade, and she was about to hit the Riptide, and that's when BFAB Michin came out. You know, so they just
Hmm.
came in to cause distraction. That's pretty much what they were there for. Just the numbers game, mind games and stuff. Like we saw Liv do the same thing the night before. Basically the same. It's just this time Jade was just unsuccessful.
Don't do that. That's a bad comparison. That's a bad
Or
comparison
I
because
forgot.
you that might be the most disappointing match of the weekend.
Are you talking about Liv and Stephanie?
Yeah, that might be my vote for the most disappointing
Oh yeah,
match.
yeah. Well,
So don't that you comparing it to that does not make that's not a positive. That's a negative. That helps me out.
mm,
That means you really shouldn't have done it both nights.
mm,
Both nights because disappointment, and this match was good.
yeah.
I think tonight. All right, let's do it like this. I don't really need to get to Dom and Finn, honestly. Like whatever
Well,
for
that was
me.
decent. I mean, the right person went over, which was Finn. So,
Yeah. So,
and it redeemed the demon too. So it redeemed the
so
demon.
yeah, sure, sure. I mean, Finn won nice, but I think that we can overall 1 to 10 for night two. How do you rank it?
For night two.
Night two. We'll separate the nights, and then we'll give like an average for the whole event. But 1 to 10, where do you put it?
Um, one, excuse me. Night two, I'd give it like 8.5.
Ooh, I'm at a 6.5.
Really?
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't great.
Mm,
You know, really good to great is like 8 on up. So I thought it was good. I thought it started off hot and then kind of cooled.
really?
Like I thought it was the first two matches were hot and then it cooled all the way through to the main event. It rose up a little bit more, but it was kind of like okay after that first hour. I felt like we were in okay mode.
I'll say like in the first two matches, I agree. The middle, once we got to like Trick and Sammy, and then the women's match, and then Finn and Dom, it did kind of like slow a little bit, but they were still good. Like they still cooked. You know what I'm saying? They still told a story. Like it was just a little bit slower pace than what we.
They were just okay match. They weren't anything to write home
I
about.
think because the first two matches we just had such a high, they were just so high octane and fast paced. Like especially with that ladder match, we were just on such a high that we had to come back down. You know what I'm saying? And the fans, we just had to come back down a little bit. So I think that's what
You
that's.
can you're right. In events you need to high and you need to have come downs, but you can't come down for 3 matches in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, if you want to come down, then give me Dom and Finn right after that to start off the second hour on the ESPN app. Your women's championship match should not be a come down. And in another championship match, even though it's the US championship match, but with a guy as hot as Trick, should not be a come down. Those were come down matches that I think you can't make them to be come down matches, especially then when you had a Saturday night that was full of disappointment and it seemed like the booking was just oddly, I don't know, screwed up on like where to put what match, honestly. You couldn't afford to make it an overall great night. You could give me one come down match for this night.
Mm.
Yeah, we don't have that many matches either.
Yeah,
We had 6.
yeah, it was like less matches on. But remember, I told you they cut 2 matches from this night. So
Mhm.
maybe that was a good thing that
Which is,
they did that. I don't know, but
let's look at it, right? When you look at the first Raw on Netflix, you had come down segments, but those matches weren't come downs. And I think that's a good template for if you're doing these 2 night events and you're putting limit or any event, honestly, that's not as many matches as a paying customer in person or at home with this ESPN app, $35 a month. I did a little combo thing with the ESPN and the Hulu. That's like 49. I don't know. I'm gonna keep it. We'll see. That might be a tomorrow to do list. Cancel that thing. But I did it for this. I don't need no come downs. I'm sorry. I don't want a come down match. That's just how I feel.
I feel
Come
you.
down matches for the old way with Vince when we went from 7 p.m. to midnight. Yeah, not tonight. I need it to be on a high.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. And I will say this, like, I didn't like how the entrances were like super long either. Like the entrances were longer than some of these matches, if you think about it. For
Absolutely.
both nights, I'm just like, why are the entrances so long, man? It's like I get it, it's WrestleMania, it's a spectacle, but I'm like, even back in the old days, like the entrances didn't last this long. Like it seemed like everybody's entrance got to look like a damn movie trailer or something like that. Like what's going like what's going on? Like Trick's entrance, like he came out with a wedding train on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is that about? And it looked like he got stuck a couple times because that's why his entrance like took a little bit longer than usual because it looked like he got stuck. He's looking back. You could tell like he was looking back like he might have got stuck or he might have.
I know. That's why I was like, is this part of the gimmick or what?
Well,
But
he usually doesn't come out. He just comes out with the white coat. That train was.
no. I mean him getting stuck.
Oh no. I don't know if that was part of this thing. I think he might have legit got stuck. I saw him keep looking back, and maybe
Like 3
yeah,
times.
like either they ran out or he just got legit stuck or something like that. I don't know.
That ruined it.
Yeah, so hopefully they do away with that, going forward. Don't bring that back.
No, in years past, it was like, oh, because the entrance was so long to get to the ring, it made sense. It wasn't that long like it has been in the past, so that's why I was with you. I didn't give much of a leeway with it. I'm like, and some of them didn't make any sense. Like CM Punk's entrance tonight was like stupid.
Well, I get what they were trying to do, and the music. Do you know the music they use in this intro?
A little bit,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
said on the post show that that's the same music he used when he was in the Indies and stuff. Like he used Cult of Personality too, but he also used that other song. I can't think of the name of it, but he used that song they played at the beginning.
Yeah, that was dumb.
I mean, it was basically just to kind of highlight his journey coming up from the Indies to WWE and stuff. You
But
know,
who no one who got that.
I mean, the people, I guess his diehards, I guess, or people that followed his
Yeah.
career.
Come on, man. And then it just ended. It should have ended before, like, for the TV and the in-person audience, he should have had that like long walk playing his indie music, and then when he gets to like Gorilla, Cult of Personality kicks in.
I mean, they kind of did that with him walking through the tunnel, but I don't know. It just looked awkward when he came out. The package stopped playing. He comes out to no music, and it's just like it's dark in the arena and stuff. Like he just comes out with no music and stuff. It's kind of awkward for a minute, and the camera pans
Hmm.
around him. I'm just like, okay, y'all gonna play the music? We still got
Yeah, it
we
was
got a main
weird.
event. Like, hey, clock's ticking. Um, then he did it's clobber time. The music plays. So I was like, all right, that's cool. But I just feel like there was too long of a gap in between from that into his actual music playing and stuff.
Compared to last year when they
Now
had like
last year,
Living
yeah,
Color.
last year was great. That was great.
Yeah,
And then they brought back this Fire Burns, his original WWE theme. I thought that was slick.
yeah. Yeah, and compared, I was just like, this wasn't as good. He had a better one for Elimination Chamber.
Yes, the Jordan intro, the Chicago Bull. Yes, yeah, that was fire. That
So
was
it's
fire.
whatever. But all right. So you're sticking with 8.5
I think
for night two.
I think because the long entrance, I might just bring it down to a solid 8.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I'm at
yeah,
6.5.
that's cool, and that's fair too. I get it.
Yeah, I just had too many people myself feeling the same way. I was like you, trying to be nice about it, but people texting me and talking online about I've seen Raws better than this, and I'm like, yeah, they're right. And not like a couple, not like the special Raws. Just, oh, that was a good Raw. Was better than Sunday night.
I heard people saying that about Saturday night, last night.
Saturday night was an atrocity, in my opinion. That was one of the worst WrestleMania since they've been doing the 2 year thing. I mean the 2 day
Yeah,
thing. That was the worst. I don't remember one day having as bad of a day as WrestleMania day
yeah,
one
yeah,
and for this
yeah.
year.
It was a rough day at the office to say the least. It was rough. Well, if tonight was like a Raw, a glorified Raw, then last night must have been Sunday Night Heat, or
Last night just stunk.
or Shotgun Saturday Night, basically.
It was just bad. It was just bad. Like it wasn't like glorified. It was no glory to it. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad, man.
Last night was I couldn't wait for it to be over
Damn.
so I could turn to the Flyers Penguins game and watch my Flyers win game
Was
one.
there anything that stuck out from last night? Are we good? Are we getting to night one now? Are we done with night two?
Oh, we're on night one. We're on
Okay,
night
okay.
one.
So
Yeah.
is there anything that caught your attention that was a highlight?
I mean, just two. Page was good,
Yes, yes.
and that match was good, and Page and stuff like that. That was cool. So I give that. Paige had a very good debut. I'm very curious to see what she does, if she's sticking around or what. But that was the only in ring highlight of the night for me. Honestly, the number two highlight. Congratulations to Bianca and Montez on their and that was it. There was two highlights. One of them was a superstar who we love, and I got love for Montez too. But like we're big, you and I are big, diehard, and in all the ways, Bianca fans,
Yes.
and so I'm very happy and Godspeed. Hope they have healthy pregnancy and a healthy, beautiful baby. So that was number two, and then honestly, Tim, for me, there was no other highlight after that.
Really?
It was two. It was the tag team match and Paige coming out, and Paige was really good. And honestly, the tag team match, Paige was the highlight and the star of it because she was specially announced. But I thought all the competitors gave a good match in that
So
one.
you like the tag team match? Is what you're saying? Over.
That was the only match I liked Saturday night. Yeah,
So not Gunther and Rollins. You ain't like that match?
no,
You thought Braun Breaker ruined it. So when was he? When were they supposed to bring him back? Raw after Mania.
Sure, I'd much rather see that.
So, but are you good with Gunther going over?
Not in the way he did, no.
So if Braun wasn't involved, do you think Gunther would have still went over, or do you think would have went to Seth?
I don't know. Let these guys cook. Let a match cook. That's my point.
My th-
I really wouldn't have cared. It was an okay match. There was no build up for it. It was okay, but Braun and hey, I don't need you to come out. Braun right now is not on my mind. You're trying to make him something, whatever. Save that for another time. You just ruined it. You let them have a good match.
Here's my thing, and I'm like, I get it. You know, on one hand, it's wrestling. We know it's a show and everything, and then on the other hand, we want it like it's a real sport with no outside interference and stuff. Just let the guys go. I get that, but we gotta pick and choose. Like I feel like this is like one of those times where I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, let the guys cook, let them do their thing, let them have a decisive winner, no interference. But for storyline purposes, this does make sense. You know, Seth, he came in with an agenda to end the vision that he created. You know, Braun Breaker got injured, so he was left with Gunther. They just had nobody else to work with. You know, so all this does, it furthers a story with Seth and the Vision, specifically Braun, and it keeps Gunther dominant. He doesn't lose his momentum. You know what I'm saying? Because he needs a win. He needs somebody to work with. So it keeps his momentum going. You know, it keeps Seth looking strong because he didn't tap out and he didn't lose clean. He lost dirty due to outside interference. So
I hear
it
you.
keeps both guys strong in the end. You know,
No one. You know I'm down with storyline. You know I am. But WrestleMania is different. And WrestleMania sometimes is when you get those hyped matches, I want to see them and let the storytelling be in the ring. Now, for me, I don't mind interference if you bring back Brunson, you bring back the whole vision like they're back, okay. Or Paul Heyman to taunt Seth. Paul Heyman coming out was fine. I didn't need Braun Breaker because honestly, that has such for me lost momentum. That angle that I would have rather you teased that for Raw after Mania and let Paul be in his way, let Paul be a distraction, and then if you want Gunther to beat Seth that way, it's still one on one. Paul's not a wrestler. Paul's not going to tackle Seth Rollins. He's going to get in his head. Let Gunther get him. And then that sets up the Vision's coming, Braun's coming back. And Braun, I'm not saying you can't beat up Seth. He could beat him up Raw after Mania. But give me something better. I didn't need that right there. Because then it was like this match to me, it was about, I think you texted me, it's just two guys working. And it felt that way.
yeah, they put on a great
To
match. They had a great match.
I thought it had a good match. It was good, but that ending ruined it for me.
I gotta disagree because just because for the storyline, I feel like it works. I just feel like it works. Now Heyman could have came out there. He could have, you know, added some shenanigans in there too. He came out at the end. We saw him at the end post match. You know, him and Braun
Hmm.
hugging, and then Braun went back and ran it back literally with one more spear to Seth to stick it to him. But I mean, obviously we know.
What storyline? Like, so does Gunther have to be in the Vision now?
I mean, we don't know. We don't know what the favor is. I think that's going to be the long running thread going into the summer now. You know, what's the favor that Heyman owes Gunther? You know, what will that be?
But that's my
And
thing. So then
and that drives a
you just,
yeah.
if you don't use Gunther right now, instantly, then to me, you mess up the story.
Yeah, you got a point. We have to see what happens. You know, Raw after Mania. I think that's key. Raw after Mania. You know, tomorrow night or whenever this airs. You know, tonight, whatever. That's key. You know what I'm saying? And how Gunther and Heyman how they interact and how that affects Braun because he's back now. You know, is that gonna be an issue for Braun Breaker? You know.
Wish also could have been a better ending if it was like not even the favor was used, but Braun, okay, Paul brought him in, and Gunther like is like okay with the help, and then like Gunther gets the win, and you get Braun and Gunther kind of like, oh, maybe this is a new partnership tease, or they just announced a new partnership with those two. Then I'd be okay with that. It was very, it was just Braun's back is what I felt they were trying to do. and I don't need the dude back. I'm not saying he can't be a heck of a superstar. He got the lineage. They were trying to build him up to it. I wasn't with him totally, but they were trying to build him up. But it wasn't needed. It was just it was just like they were low on who can make an appearance, and they we'll send out EO Sky. We're going to send out Braun. EO made more sense than Braun in my opinion. I think you and then if you're going to use them, they didn't do it well.
I mean, I could get it if Braun didn't have any history with Seth, but they have history. You know what I'm saying? Braun, he was leading the charge and kicking Seth out the division. Like
It was old.
I give you that because the story lost steam because they were both on the sidelines, they were both injured, so it lost steam. So I get that.
Braun got hurt when?
I believe
January?
no, yeah, it was after the Rumble, like late January,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Seth came back like a month after that.
It's 3 months ago. I know wrestling fans, myself included, we have long memories, but it just wasn't executed properly. And I wish there would have been a better build for it then.
It's just the injuries. Injuries got in the way and stuff. That's pretty much it.
No, I'm saying I'm not talking about the storyline. I'm talking about last night or Saturday night. I just didn't think Braun was needed for that. If you're hyping it up as these two guys cooking, let them cook or tease it better. Like do a better job than what we had.
I think you gotta give it a little more credit because one, they had for this to be one of the best matches of night one for a terrible night one, and for them to only have 2, maybe 3 weeks at best of build up and to still make you care about this match, like that says a lot.
But I didn't care.
I mean, but to still like give you something, like that says a lot.
Did people care?
When the bell rang, they cared.
People didn't care. That's my thing. People weren't talking about this.
They were tuned
and
in.
We all knew why. We know why. That's not their fault. It's not their fault. But people didn't care. That's why, to me, then let that be either a really good match with a winner and highlight 2 incredible performers, which both of those guys are, or give me a slow build to it. Give me a little more. There was no story. There was just Braun came out and speared him, and then
no.
And I'm like, he's just annoying.
Him and Seth have history. Like the story writes itself. They just picking up where they left off. That's basically what it is. They picking up where they left off.
Did you like that story before?
I thought it wasn't nothing special. Like I thought, even before like all that, I just felt like the vision was kind of just falling off. Like it wasn't going anywhere. And then Seth got hurt. I was like, oh yeah, they may as well just dead this right now. And then Braun and Bronson got hurt. I was like, yeah, this really dead now.
And that's my point.
That's the thing. It's just like everybody's been injured and out, so it's like that thing, like out of sight, out of mind. They've been gone, so and they're trying to pick back up, and it's hard to kind of catch that chemistry back.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm not saying on what you're saying. You're saying factual things that is true. There was injuries, and I don't knock anyone for injuries. Like that's tough. That's part of business, but it sucks when it happens to any man or woman in this business. It does. It was flat before. Is really maybe probably what I felt. The vision was flat.
It was. You're not wrong.
Everyone was flat with it. The injuries happened, so then okay, maybe you could have, but he had some time. It just didn't work out. From that high of last year's WrestleMania, it just was like whatever. It sucked, and then now you're bringing back a sucky angle, is what I felt.
Yeah,
and you could have brought it back better, but they're acting like it left off so hot and so good. I think they knew it was falling flat. Like WWE, the writers, the producers. So then you're bringing it back like I care. I don't care unless you do it in a better way because it was falling flat. And to your point, it's been so many months that have passed.
That's really the only thing. I think that's the one thing I think we can agree on is like it's just been so much time has passed, and all these guys have been gone. They just try to like make something happen like real quick, and it's like you're trying to microwave something basically instead of like slow roasting. Basically,
we just agreed on that the angle sucked before. You said that.
Yeah, so
you didn't say sucked, but you said it was flat. The vision was done.
But they had history though, so it's not like it's random. I'm not. It's like the interference wasn't random because they have history. The story was.
I didn't say it was random.
The story was still flat. Don't get me wrong, and the turn was while it was unexpected. Still, it's like Seth was injured, so it's like you can't really do anything right away with it. There's no immediate payoff.
I never, and if I did, I apologize. I don't believe I ever said it was random though. Like I wasn't like, why is Braun out there? I knew why he was out there. It just stunk. It just was like, this is played out.
Well,
Come on, man. You really think it was the match was good. It was all right. It wasn't because there was no build up. I didn't care, but it was okay. Like I could watch it. And then that made it bad. And then that was just a capper of a night that I don't know, man.
I'll say it.
My score will be low for night one.
I'll,
I mean low.
I'll say this before, and then we'll move on to the next match. It did what it needed to do, even if it's not your favorite match or you didn't like how it ended. It checked off the necessary boxes. So it kept Gunther, kept his momentum going. It also kept Seth looking strong because he didn't lose clean. You know what I'm saying, and he didn't tap out, unlike John Cena. You know what I'm saying. He passed out, and we even said that too. Like if he does lose, he should pass out. We said that, and it keeps
You
it keeps both of them
you
looking strong, and it keeps the story going with Seth and the Vision, which I hope they end that sooner rather than later. And I even think Braun Breaker, like he was doing better on his own before he even got with the Vision. Like at this time last year, he was in like a tweener spot, and he was getting over with the fans. He was the Intercontinental Champion. Remember that? Like he was doing fine, but
I mean, we'll disagree on it. I understood why they did it. It wasn't needed. You need to reintroduce a story that was kind of boring before some months ago. Introduce it better than that. There was not a buzz like when Seth got hurt. I mean, Punk got hurt and he came back in 24, and it was like, oh man, it would have been Punk versus Seth. That would have been great. There wasn't no buzz like, can you wait for Seth and Braun? It wasn't like that.
yeah, I do feel like you mentioned like Punk when Punk got hurt, like WrestleMania 40. Punk was on the shelf, he couldn't compete, but he still got involved and cost Drew McIntyre the world title, which set up Drew getting cashed in on. So I feel like that was better executed, and now like Punk was gone, like I think the thing is Braun was just out of sight, out of mind. And they didn't tease that, like you said. Where Punk, we saw him on TV a couple times before that, leading up to Mania. So I think that's what helped in his favor, and that's what helped
Right.
move that story
And,
forward.
and and you're right, and that's why, like you said, it stinks. um, let's get to a couple other matches here, man. Let's look at the women's intercontinental title. Becky
I think
Lynch.
you called this to a T too, I believe.
Thank you, I appreciate that. No, I'm not trying to be. I'm being sincere with you saying that. Thank
No,
you.
because I
I really
no,
am.
because I remember we were talking. You said like this should be like almost a squash. I think you even said Becky should dominate AJ, and she did. Like she literally almost squashed AJ. Like it's like you kind of felt bad because AJ brought out her little mini me's out. They're all skipping and stuff, and then she gets dragged like that. For like 10 minutes. But yeah, how you feel about this match?
I was glad it went the way it did. Um, as much respect I have for AJ Lee, I need more from her. I need something. There's something lacking in her matches, honestly. And so I'm glad Becky dominated and Becky got the title because AJ Lee to me is I don't feel comfortable with her having hardware, having the belts right now. So
Right now?
I'm glad right now
Okay.
she can get it. I need to see more for me as a fan. I want to see more right now. Yeah, let's say she won on Saturday night. The Intercontinental belt would mean nothing to me for the women's division
Hmm.
because she has it. Because she's just not convincing and not there yet. Becky, you got to give it to her. Will make you interested in whoever she faces next. If AJ wants to go again, I hope they move on. Honestly,
Yeah.
but
I think they are. I think because
I think they
yeah,
are.
because in the post match interview, I think AJ said like she's taking some time off or whatever like that. Like she signed a multi deal contract, so she's not like leaving, but I think she's gonna take some time away and maybe do some more training in the performance center, get her reps in. That's the only issue I had. She didn't have enough matches leading up to it. You know what I'm saying? So
It's not always, the performer's fault, but you are the performer. And so we're going to look at you first. And I'm looking at her first. And she looks like what I said on our greatest women's wrestlers on our podcast.
hmm
And I think I've said other times. She was the right time before the women's revolution hit, But if she would have been in that time, she couldn't have lasted. Not in that she would have had to really up her game.
Yeah.
And to me, she's showing that. Unlike Paige, who kind of was of that time, she was a little bit in the
She
Revolution.
beat AJ her first main roster match.
But like Paige looked really good.
Yeah.
Now it's one match, so we have to see more. But Paige in one match looked better than AJ Lee every match she's been in so far.
Well, here's the thing. Paige, well, one, she's been wrestling since she was 13. Two, she also came out of retirement a couple years earlier in AEW, the other company, and she had a run there, and she was women's champion and stuff. So she had a little bit more time to shake off that ring rust than AJ Lee did, because AJ, she hadn't wrestled at all these last 10, 11 years,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the difference right there. Paige, she at least put some time in the last couple years, at least.
That's being smart.
Yeah.
That's all it is, being smart. And kudos to Paige. And Paige, there's still the degree of difficulty that on WrestleMania, the biggest stage, night one, I don't know how much of the internet was buzzing, like how many people knew she was going to be there or not. I don't know if you know that,
I mean,
but
well, first, I just happened to come across her Instagram where she posted she was going to be making appearances. She didn't confirm at that time she was going to be at Mania. I guess she was still keeping it under wraps at that time. And then, she was going to be doing some autograph signings, some appearances. And then it came out like an hour after that she had officially signed a new deal with WWE, a multi-year deal. And that leaked, you know what I'm saying? So we already knew she was coming. We just didn't know where they're going to fit in. And then it came out that she might be replacing Nikki, because Nikki wasn't cleared because her bad ankle and stuff. So yeah, then what happened. So I'm glad to see her back. I'm glad she got the W. It's just weird that her and Brie are the tag champions, because you would think it would be the Bellas, right? Now I'm thinking, like, was the original plan for the Bellas to go over all along? Do you think that was the original plan, or is that because Paige, just because of circumstances and stuff?
I'm gonna hope, and I'm gonna go with but logic too, not just feelings. I think Paige made that decision.
Yeah, because
And if Nikki was healthy,
it wouldn't make sense for Paige to lose her first match back, especially at WrestleMania.
and with that kind of pop
Yeah.
and that kind of everything, and then Nia and Lash, I love those two.
That's why I wanted to win too. That's why I wanted to win.
I wanted them to, yeah, but like they've had the belt for a little while. Charlotte and Alexa did, so but I honestly would not have wanted the Bellas to win if they both were healthy. But
It does create an interesting story though going forward. Like, when they do eventually drop titles, or when Nikki gets healthy, like, how's that situation going to play out? Like, is Nikki going to force Paige to give up her portion of the title, or they go?
I think you have a good storyline if you're smart.
Yeah.
You have one already built in,
And
an injury going to your favor.
And then also, that opens the door open for AJ to come back and help Paige, because they have history, all four of them. As a matter of fact, I think Paige and AJ, they teamed up at a WrestleMania against the Bellas one year.
Okay, so you're saying AJ needs to be in tag matches. I understand. I get what you're coming from.
I'm saying it works storyline wise. It lines up. And all four of them have history with each other.
You're saying AJ, right, as of now, not forever, where her skills are at, she's better off in tag matches where you can hide some things and make her okay. Tim Lewis said it here.
I mean, that's not bad either, but I think if she has some more singles match under her belt, she can get more comfortable, shake that ring rust off. I'm just saying, for the storyline, that would make sense.
Wonder what you do next. Yeah, because then what else? What do you do next with AJ?
Yeah.
Who do you pit her up against?
Because right now, because I still feel like she needs to get her bearings back, I don't want to see her against Liv right now for the title, So I don't think she's ready for that. But I would like to see that. I would like to see that, but not right now. You know what I'm saying? Not right now. But I can see her maybe going up against the Bellas, because they do have history. I know she's on SmackDown, but her and Alexa Bliss, that could be a good back and forth between them.
So right now, nobody. So
I mean, she said she's taking time off, so they got time to get that ready.
Yeah.
They get.
Thank God. Hey Jay, hey, you're awesome, but yeah, it was rough. It was rough, including night one. I was just glad that they did the only thing that they could do, have Becky dominate AJ. Thank God.
That's the only time you cheer for Becky.
Yes, yeah. these last Elimination Chamber Mania, I have been cheering for Becky. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I cheered for Becky when her and was it Brie or Nikki talk about my hot husband. That was funny.
Hmm.
And then same with John Cena. You can't. I was like, okay, Becky. That was like a highlight for me. I was cracking up with
Yeah, she
that.
was talking to Nikki about that.
That was Nikki. Yeah. So let's go to the women's championship match. For me, the most disappointing match of the weekend. I don't know how Tim Lewis feels. He probably would give it a 5-star rating
No,
because he gives everything 5 stars.
no.
But
I'm not Dave Meltzer over here, okay? You know,
Dave Meltzer's tough with his at
On
times.
WWE stuff, not with AEW.
Where he's too lenient on AEW.
A little bit, even with New Japan stuff too. Like he'll give some AEW stuff like a 6-star rating sometime.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah.
I'm used to because traditionally over the years it was WWE like New Japan. New Japan, I thought he was fair. WWE, you can tell there's a bias,
Hmm.
even though sometimes he's right, but I feel like there's a bias
Well,
there. He
well,
doesn't,
he's tight with the Young Bucks and Kenny and them. He's tight with them in real life. So
so he does a lot. But yeah, you're Tim Meltzer. We gotta call
no,
you.
no,
So let me hear you.
I'm with you on.
Let me hear
No,
you.
I'm with you on this. And this is one.
Stephanie and Liv was the most disappointing match of the weekend for you too.
It definitely was a letdown for me. I got to be honest, because
Was it the most disappointing?
yeah, it was. I was expecting a lot more. I was expecting a lot more, and I don't know if they were holding back, maybe because of the time, because the match was. How much time did they get for that match? They get 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
I think like 10 or 15.
I
Yeah.
think they need like another 5, maybe 10 to cook, to really cook, because they can both go. And I feel like they needed more time to cook and stuff. And I don't know, it was just like the chemistry just it was it was solid, but I feel like I wanted to see more. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like they were just rushing through it. It seemed like at times.
I thought it would be more brutal.
That's what I thought, especially like the build up with the ambushes and stuff. That's what I was expecting too. Like the men's world title matches, we saw blood, we saw brutal. Those two matches were, but this one, it's like they're playing softball a little bit, instead of hardball. So I don't know, and it's like with the build up they had. Like I was looking for this is one of those matches I was really looking forward to this past weekend. Yeah, they kind of let me down. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm not mad Liv going over. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. But either one of them could have went over. But I just feel like I wanted to see more. It could have been more dramatic. It's WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? This is where you make your moment. And I just feel like we didn't really get a moment out of that. You know what I'm saying? So how you feel about it?
Yeah, Liv. Congratulations to her. No moment, no moment at all, and especially you had a class battle. Liv came from tough upbringings in Jersey in real life, but Stephanie went there with the class. Like you didn't have to struggle like I did, and
Hmm.
Liv played into that whole princess thing and like let's make it a dog fight. It seemed like from a storyline buildup that was so personal, it felt like when they got in the ring, it was like a Seth Gunther situation where they got thrown together in the last couple weeks, and it's like no, this has been it since the Rumble. That's just how I felt.
It's
Like
like
it felt nothing.
it's like the opposite of Seth and Gunther, because they actually cooked in their man. I know you didn't like the finish, but
No, no, but I had no excitement besides like I'm just going to see a good match. There was no like what's going to happen. There's no intrigue because it was thrown together last minute. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean, and that's how Liv and Stephanie wrestled. Instead of there's so much buildup. What are you going to do? Your mind speculating on what's going to happen, how brutal, what moves, who's going to go over. It felt like we threw it together last minute.
that's what it felt like. But to my point is on that's what I'm saying. Like Seth and Gunther on paper could be a marquee match if with the right build up. If they had the right time, the proper time to build up to it and tell the story.
Yeah, no one's debating that.
But I'm just saying, like, because it was last minute, it's like you didn't really, like you said, you couldn't get into it. You didn't care about it. But
Yeah.
they still put on a solid match. You know what I'm saying? I think we can agree on that. They had up until the ending, but Liv and Stephanie, they had all the makings, like you said, the classism and stuff, the different past they had, the backstage brawls and stuff. Like Liv literally got a concussion and a knot on the head. You can still see it. It was visible last night too. So this had the makings of a personal like brawl. Like it could have got bloody too if they wanted to, but it's just like instead of playing hardball, they were softballing it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really getting their bag. They could have, but I don't know what it is, man.
It stunk,
Yeah,
man. It was just bad, and that really just hurt and really disappointed me.
yeah. It was kind of like when AJ fought Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. Remember how excited we got for that match? Like we had, it was a rematch from the match in New Japan, and it's like, oh, we're about to get this in WWE. And for people like us who probably didn't see that match in New Japan, it's like, okay, cool, we're getting this dream match now, and then that ended up being a letdown. And then you had the unnecessary Shinsuke turning heel at the end. It's like it kind of made me think about that in a way. I was like, yeah, what are we doing here?
So that match, did it suck?
I think it could have been better, but it is what it is, man. It let me down. That's all I'm gonna say. It let me down.
Can't say something sucked, huh? Just okay. Just afraid to say some things suck, man. That's life. I'm not saying that they suck.
No.
The match sucked. They're both great
Yeah. Yeah.
competitors.
Yeah. The match sucked. Yes. Yes.
There,
Yes.
finally, there we go. You see the difference? I don't think these performers suck. This is so hard. But you can be great performers and have a sucky match.
Mhm.
Or have a sucky your performance sucked. You don't suck. It's a difference. I don't want you to say I'm not here to bash no one personally and be like they suck as a wrestler. But their matches can stink. They can suck. Like that one sucked. Like it just did. AJ Lee and Becky at Elimination Chamber. AJ is a heck of a performer, like a good Becky's a legend. But that match
The
sucked.
Chamber.
At Elimination Chamber,
And you
yes.
thought
AJ Lee and
and you
Becky
thought and you
sucked.
thought this match at Mania was better.
The outcome was better. The match was, I mean, it was kind of a similar thing, but the match was a little bit better, but it wasn't good. But Becky was carrying the little that we got from it. It was Becky Lynch doing the heavy lifting both times in those matches with AJ.
That's interesting. 'Cause
AJ's a good performer, like, as a manager. That's why I give her. She can perform, but
That's
it
interesting
was rough.
because I've seen people say the opposite of what you said about AJ and Becky and even Seth and Gunther. They say the opposite. But we all agree though on Stephanie and Liv though. I think everybody can agree on Stephanie and Liv. Like
I think most people. I'm shocked to see any people who weren't in Vegas watching it in the arena give night one a good score.
mm-mm.
And that's what it comes down to. Now, fine, if you want to nitpick on why we have low scores for it, fine. But to me, it should equal low because that was a boring night. I was like, did they forget this is WrestleMania? Like I was questioning, like,
Yeah,
did they forget this is a big deal?
yeah. You can tell like it felt like two different I know it's like one whole event, but it's two nights, so it felt like it was like you're watching two different shows or something. And even like with the aesthetics, the themes, like night one had like this apocalyptic Mad Max type of theme, and night two had this like Tron type of thing, the futuristic cyber world. Um, so it's kind of fitting that night one had the apocalyptic thing because it was like, excuse my language, a shit show. So
You'll say shit show, but you won't say something sucks. Okay, that's good to know.
anyway, so what do you think about the unsanctioned match? Let's move on.
Oh no no no. Well, I mean, you brought it
Are you,
up.
are
I
you, are
mean,
you,
I was going to get to the main event,
oh, okay. Well,
but the unsanctioned. If you want to talk about that
I mean,
real quick.
yeah, we can skim through it. It was decent. You know what I'm saying? It could have went either way. I mean, I'm not mad Jacob going over, so we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it was cool. It's what
It was
it
okay.
was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great.
That's what's bad about the night.
Yeah,
One match that I liked with the women's tag, you have Seth and Gunther, which I would say with everything, okay. The unsanctioned match, okay. That's not a good night though. If I have one good, a few bad, and a few okays, including the main event, okay, that was kind of like too much, honestly.
the main event.
Yeah,
Okay, well, let's get into the main event now.
you loved it, I'm sure.
Well, I didn't love it, but I didn't think it was like bad like everybody else is saying. Like, I just think it moved a little too.
Who's everybody else? You're getting a lot of bad on the internet and stuff.
Some on the internet and some like in Facebook groups that I'm in. Like it's a lot of mixed reviews. Like you got some people saying like, "Oh, this is terrible," or "It's dragging." You got some people saying like, "Oh, it's some good storytelling between the two." Felt I'm kind of like somewhere on the fence where it's like it didn't. It started off slow and it didn't really start picking up until after Cody or Randy started bleeding. Like the second half of the match, I feel like is good. It could have been great. Like I think it's good. I think it's just good.
I think it's okay and not even good. I put okay. The reason why was, to your point, it started off slow. It started off with like what the I thought, what you bring Pat McAfee into this thing, and then you get rid of him, let him be on the outside.
So you didn't like that?
No, I did not like that. And then him coming in the ref thing, I knew he was going to come back. Everyone did. You like that?
I mean, here's why. This is why I said, on the last episode that this WrestleMania seemed like they're trying to do a do over, especially with Cody in the main event. They're basically doing a do over from last year. So what I will say is the match, it could have been great. It wasn't. It was just good to me, at least. Like I feel like they hit the necessary points they needed to. And the first half, it does start a little weird, especially at the beginning with Pat and stuff getting taken out early. I'm with you. I thought he was going to play a big factor for majority of the match. I thought he was going to get on commentary with Michael Cole. I wanted to see that back and forth banner between them. I was looking forward to that, especially since Cole was getting at his neck, but we didn't get that. So, I mean, we got the bit with him coming out in the referee shirt. That was, I guess, comical, for comical reasons and stuff. And then Randy turned on him out of nowhere. A lot of things going on in this match. But that's why I said Pat really didn't need to be in there. The story, even the video package, when they showed just Randy and Cody, that's that's the crutch of this story. That's really what it needs to be focused on. I get what you're saying. Pat adds interest, but he really wasn't needed for this. And when the match just focused on Cody and Randy, that's when it started cooking. Like it started off slow with them trying to feel each other out, but once it started cooking, like is when Randy got busted open and Cody started bleeding. That's when it started cooking. And I'm glad they let them bleed because we haven't had like a bloody WWE title match in quite some time. Like I even texted you too. Like we haven't had a bloody WWE title match since The Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 17. Where it was personal, they're just going at it. Two Titans just going at it and stuff like that. It's just a lot of things just going on, but it just starts slow. But they,
Start off slow. I don't blame Pat McAfee for the bad booking. I think he did add interest. You've said it. You will try to say no, that it wasn't there. You like those two, but the buildup wasn't interesting until McAfee got involved. It just wasn't.
I think for casuals, you might be spot on the money with that. But for hardcore fans like us who have watched these two and followed their careers from the beginning and know their story, like we know, like that's really all you need is just them two because we know the history. That's just like with Shawn Michaels and Triple H from '97 to 2002.
Totally different to me, though. You keep using that Shawn Michaels and Triple H. You know the history, and the history is strong on screen and off screen. With Cody and Randy, it's strong off screen.
I think that's what
But that's not what I care
I think
about.
that's what makes it interesting because we're in this era now where you're kind of blurring the lines anyway, so you get more nuggets and stuff. You can add more details into the story. When Cody brings up how he's on the road and he has to like babysit Randy because back then Randy was a handful to deal with anyway. We know that it's been well documented, so that adds layers to the story.
But that's the thing, though. That's confusing storytelling, where you have to add those layers in, but then you're also setting it up like, well, you know these two and you just know their history. It's like, well, no, I don't, because you're giving me information that I don't know. With Shawn Michaels and Triple H, you could put a video package. These two had a history. You show them going, suck it, and blah, 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 and all that. Like, you were like, yeah, yeah. You don't need a reminder. You don't need tidbits to be like, oh, that's the history. They're showing those clips of like back when like '05 or something during the ring. I'm like, I don't, I'm like, I remember that because I'm like you said, a diehard fan. I was never like Randy and Cody. Those are the two stars going to carry the business and their rivalry. Cody was, as we all know, that's why his story has been great with a lot of people. And as a as a person who likes him as a person, has been great with me. He was an underdog guy. He was Dusty's son, but he was never main event looked at. Where Randy Orton was a main event guy, so that's why it's very different
Well,
to
it's
me.
different in aspect because it's teacher versus student. Where Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they were equals. They were both, you could say at the time, the leaders of DX, the co-leaders of DX, the original. Until Shawn Michaels retired and Triple H took over. So they were equals. Where Cody and Randy, they were like, Randy's over top of Cody because he's the mentor, Cody's the mentee, the protege. So that's the only thing that's different. But the history is still there. They talk about off-screen stuff. They also showed and talked about the stuff on screen with Legacy, the rivalry, even after that, even like they mentioned all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you had the history there. You can pull from that. I get.
You really did. You really did feel like before this, if you said who's Randy's top rivals, Cody would have
I'm
been
not saying Cody.
one of the first
Well,
ones.
they haven't really had much of a rivalry up until this point. So I think they can build. All they can do now is just build on top of this. And now that
From here on out.
yes,
Oh, that's different. Yeah, I agree with
yes,
you on
I
that. Yeah,
I
from
I,
here on out, let's
I
see
I
where it
never once
goes.
said that
Yes.
Cody's his top rival. They had a little brief feud in 2011.
Is he one of his top
Not
rivals?
right now. Not right now.
Right.
But I'm saying they can build on top of this, and now with Pat out of the picture, they can really lean into some stuff and really get personal. Especially now, like there's blood's been spilled. Randy hit the punt kick. Man, he kicked he kicked the hell out of Cody too. Like you see his eye,
Lady the Shiner, yeah.
God. And they talk about he might be out for a minute. It's possible he might be at risk of vacating the title possibly.
Well, he should be fine.
He can't get that eye open. I don't know.
You can get the eye open. The Shiner. It just takes a little time. You may miss Friday if you care about that. Honestly, if you're smart, you put the shades on and you play it up. That's Wrestling 101.
Mm.
If you're smart, because everyone saw that.
So let me ask you this: were you surprised we got blood in this match? I know we got blood in the Punk and Roman match too, but were you surprised like this match got bloody, or do you think it needed it?
A little bit.
Okay.
It needed it for
Yes.
sure.
Yes, for sure.
And where I say is like was it to me, it seemed like both competitors were smart, and once they started heating up to try to tell a story. But from my point of view, Tim Lewis, especially with Cody, but a little bit with Randy, as you alluded to with him, RKO and Pat McAfee. I'd rather have seen Cody just being like he's succumb in this moment to the dark side, where it was kind of like he did some cheap moves, but looked like he looked confused, and I think that's what I didn't like that. Just be into it, get angry,
Think
get pissed.
I think that's just part of the storytelling, and that's what Stephanie McMahon was trying to convey to him on Raw at MSG. Like you got to tap into that darker side because you can't beat this.
And it stunk. It stunk that he didn't just tap into it.
He
He half-assed it.
if you pay attention, like there were moments where he did like try to do some underhanded stuff where he was showing more aggression, and like they even mentioned like Randy may have had a back injury, and there's still like it's rumored that he might be legit injured. He may have re-aggravated his back injury again. I don't know, but and that's probably part of the reason why they didn't have Randy go over because there was a rumor that he was originally supposed to go over because the stipulation is if Randy lost, Pat would leave WWE for good. So, and now that Randy lost, I mean, they can still find a way to bring Pat back if they want to because I don't know what his contract situation is. So we don't know that as of now. But, you know, I firmly believe that Randy would have walked out if if they were sure he was 100% ready to go. You know what I'm saying? If they were confident that he could be healthy. But now it's like with Cody with the eye injury, which I know it's probably not that bad, but still.
I think the bigger concern is the concussion than the eye
Yeah,
injury.
that's another thing too. Like they didn't say anything about concussion. They just said really is his eye. Really that's
I heard they said he's in concussion
yeah.
protocol.
I mean, well, that's standard anyway. That's standard.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
Randy really kicked him, and you even saw like Randy like kneeled down to check on him. And Cody said he was okay and everything, even though he wasn't. But he said he was okay. So, but that's cool that they looking out for each other and stuff too. Because that was a pretty ill spot.
Well, I mean, Randy, did he look out for him by doing that?
It's wrestling. They know what they signed up for. You know.
Did he look out for him? I don't know,
I
man.
mean,
Because it wasn't needed. It was stupid. That also was
I
dumb.
mean, Owen Hart dropped Stone Cold on his head for real. He didn't do it
No, I know.
intentionally, but that's part of the game. That's
No,
part of the game, man.
but and Randy did do it. Well, I guess so. But Owen did not check on Steve, and that was a God bless Owen's soul. I know we all make mistakes, but that was a mistake
Yeah.
that he didn't
Well,
check
he,
on
he was
Steve.
aware that something wasn't right because he saw Steve wasn't moving. I guess he tried because back then it was different. Like we still had to believe they still try to make us believe kayfabe was real. So he was trying to play it up, and
dude, you know I watched that live, right? I know what happened. I'm talking about afterwards.
oh, you
He
talking?
never called
Oh,
on
he
him
never.
and
Okay,
checked
okay.
on him.
I'm thinking you talking
Yeah.
about in the match. Okay, my
No,
bad.
I watched that live. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
okay.
That at least Randy, we he probably will check on. I'm going to assume he'll check on him, the upcoming days and stuff. I'm going to lean and assume that he will. But like that was where Owen messed
Yeah.
up, was not checking up on
And I
Steve.
think that's something they do a better job at nowadays because, like, when they do like those high spots, like you can see them kind of like lean into each other, like you kind of hear them a little bit too, like you okay, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something I think they've done a better job at with this modern age of wrestling stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I just thought I think Randy should have just lost. Like they punting him at the end, and obviously what it led to. Now, well, for that, we'll see what happens with future programming. But I was like, you lost, bro.
And I saw a lot of people like talking about that, criticizing that too, like how you lose a world title match at Mania and you still standing tall. And yeah, I'm just like I'm thinking of that too. It's like it doesn't really make sense. Like he lost, just roll credits, but I guess they wanted a talking point. They wanted to add like some controversy because it's night one. So in the story, sometimes the story doesn't always end at WrestleMania. So we know there's gonna be another match.
Nah,
We know there's gonna be another
it
match.
will be. It just this is a weird
I
chapter
know it. What?
that I walk away feeling like I don't feel yay or nay. I felt indifferent. I'm like, I didn't get any answers or any setup. I got maybe a setup, and if it is a setup, it was done weird. Let's say this leads to something, right? Cody, my moment was ruined, and he turns heel. Okay, it led to that, and let's say Cody being heel is great. I'm still going to say how we got to that sucked. Just like Cena turning heel, that moment was great. The aftermath, it was too bad. But it doesn't take away from the heel thing, but they didn't follow through. This could be opposite. This could lead to something great, but I'm still going to say this was crappy the way it was
Yeah.
executed.
Well, this is a report that I heard, and this was actually confirmed. So this isn't a rumor. This is confirmed. So the original plan was Aleister Black was supposed to be in the Pat McAfee role. You know.
I just okay,
Yeah.
yes, I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, so in the weeks leading up to it, even before Pat got involved, they showed segments with Aleister Black trying to get into Randy's head, trying to, bring him over to the dark side, bring out the old Randy, '09 Orton, if you're familiar. You know what I'm saying? Trying to convert him over to the dark side and stuff. And even we saw Aleister like in the background, the last couple weeks when Pat McAfee showed up to the arena, he was, playing in the background a little bit. So he is somewhat involved. And I heard they do have like a push plan for him, like post Mania. We'll see how that goes and see if they're consistent. But he was supposed to be in the Pat McAfee role, and he was supposed. I guess I don't know if he was going to be in Randy's corner or something like that. I don't know how that would have worked, but
hmm
he was supposed to be in that role. But they went with Pat McAfee just because he's more of a draw. He gets more interest and stuff. So I get it why they did that. I think it would have been more interesting and compelling if they kept Black in that role, though. I don't know how you feel about that, but
I think for another event, yeah. I think for WrestleMania, you need a Pat
okay.
McAfee. Alistair Black doesn't do it for you for
He
Mania.
could still be involved post Mania and stuff. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think if this was any other, like I would be like, yeah, why let the guy who's part of the roster like that have the moment. For WrestleMania, you gotta hook people.
Well,
You gotta hook people, and Pat McAfee did. Whether you like it or not, he for that time he did. Now how they used him Saturday night was crappy.
I didn't like that either. I thought I was expecting him to be more involved in the match and do more antics. Like like I said, like I was expecting him and Michael Cole to go back and forth on commentary. That's what I was waiting for right there. Especially since Cole has so much smoke for Pat. Because we know their history and how tight they were. So maybe we'll get, maybe not. I don't know because of the stipulation, but we'll see.
I think so.
You
I
you
think
think so?
McAfee should have been on the side, on the booth, and then he gets up and interferes. But throughout it, he's talking trash and talking about his
And that would
propaganda.
have been great. That would have been entertaining.
And we missed all. That's what I'm
that would,
saying. Disappointing night.
like that
Disappointing
that
match.
could have been his Bobby Heenan moment right there.
This is all disappointing. That's why that match was disappointing because I get Jelly Roll to come out there and do that to open, and I'm like, I don't care about that.
Yeah. So
And now you got him in the cart and the wheel him off. I'm like, well, what's the point then? You have him part of it, and then you blow it so early. I didn't care about the referee outfit. That was stupid. And then Randy RKO's him because it's just Randy RKO's everybody. It's like, all right, this is stupid. Then Cody wins a tough match. Then you have the champ who wins the match still look like he walks away looking defeated. And to the point where what was the first thing people were saying today and on the internet is about that kick. And is Cody fine? And Randy kicked him. That's what you're talking about. How's that doing your champion any
I
favors?
think they just wanted a controversial moment. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. This is,
And what did this do,
I would say,
in your opinion?
at least in Cody's favor, it wasn't a good look, and it probably wasn't a good look overall for the match. You know what I'm saying? But I see what they're trying to do. Like they're obviously setting up, like we got more to come with the story, I guess.
So
But I feel like they should have just.
did it hit or miss?
I feel like the punt wasn't really needed because the match was over. Randy should have just took his ball and went home at that point. But
It missed,
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. But I see what they just wanted some shock value, basically. And they just wanted people to get people talking. Now,
It stunk,
well,
man.
let me
Come on.
hold on, because this isn't the first time this
Come
has
on.
happened. This isn't the first time this has happened where someone lost a match in the main event and it stood tall. Like, remember 2000?
I know.
Remember 2000, The Rock? He got screwed out of the title and he got his payback almost immediately on the McMahons and Triple H. He rock bottom
Yeah.
Stephanie, So this isn't the first time this happened,
But who did The Rock lose to?
Triple H.
Who did he rock bottom?
He rock bottom. The whole McMahon family, basically. Vince, Shane, Stephanie.
I know. Trust me. Like I say, you're old school. You are very knowledgeable. I'm pretty good too. I watched that live. That was my time. He did not rock bottom that night, Triple H, the person who he had the match with. So that's my point. If Randy Orton wants to RKO Pat McAfee at the end and Jelly Roll and all that stuff, fine. You made the person who just defeated Randy Orton look small to Randy Orton, and that's all that a lot of people are taking away from your night, where no one was like, he didn't rock bottom Triple H.
He did.
After
He did, actually. He did.
that night.
Yes.
After the match was
Yes,
over.
after the match. He rock bottom the whole McMahon family and Triple H.
He got the McMahon. I don't remember him getting Triple H, but okay.
I know in the match he probably did, and after the match too.
Oh yeah, in the match he did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he rock bottom Shane, Stephanie, gave the people's elbow to Stephanie at the end too to close it out, and then dipped. But for Randy, like it wasn't needed. They could have saved this for like maybe SmackDown after, where he sneaks attack Cody's after a promo or something. That I agree. That probably would have worked better. I think. And that sets up the rematch for Backlash or whatever down the road. But I guess they just wanted to rush it because they're not sure with like Randy's back situation or something like that, and it sets up something for later or something.
I hear you. Sometimes just I don't know, man. I just think we for sure will talk about what we think or what's reported that their angle was, but I'm about the execution and about that. So then it becomes like it whiffed. I can see where you're trying, but that's what I want to give to the people here. Like I want to give that opinion. I can give the backstory. That's just me. But like sometimes it's if it's hit or missed, this one missed, and it had potential to hit for me anyway. You knowledgeable and have your opinion on it, and you might see. I really don't think we see it much differently. That's why I'm kind of like, well, I think we both see it very similar. Maybe there might be a different
Like,
approach that we would take to counter it, but we both were disappointed with the result.
yeah, yeah. Like, the moment was fine if they did it on SmackDown after. Like, let Cody,
Yeah.
like I said, like let Cody come out, cut a promo, talk about what he went through and everything. Randy comes out, RKO's him, hits the punt. Cody gets stretched out. That would have been perfect, and it continues the feud. You know what I'm saying? And it makes Randy look like a sore loser. It's just they kind of rushed it just for the sake of trying to get that one last moment in. Before the show goes off. So yeah, that would have been better served SmackDown after Mania. But yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Okay. How do you rate 1 to 10 night one? What's your rating? 8.5 to 2.
Hell no.
I'm just making sure that people know and I remember because we can average it out here.
Nah, if I gave Night 2 a 8 to 8.5, because I definitely enjoyed Night 2 for sure. I give this like a 5.5 to a 6.
Wow. Which one?
Night
5.5 or 6? You said 8.5.
I'd say 5.5.
So a 7 for the event overall.
Yeah, I say it's about fair.
Wow.
What do you give?
That's pretty high.
Night
You think it's a 7?
Night 2 saves the overall event. Night 2 saves the overall event.
Night 2 definitely saved it from being
Terrible.
It was setting up to be the worst Mania I've ever seen after night 1. It had that kind of. We did, on our podcast, Essential Manias. That if we do a worst Manias, night 1 was setting up to be. This could be like the worst one in a long time. I was thinking Saturday night. That's how bad it was. I was like, what is the worst Mania in my lifetime that I've seen? Ugh. I never turn away from Mania. I was this close. If we didn't have a podcast, I would have. I wanted to watch to be ready for the show. This was last year at this time. I'm going to the Flyers Penguins game 1. Luckily that game started later so then I could get the last period and a half. And also, what's his name? Mark Madden, a Pittsburgh guy, talking crap on my Flyers via Twitter/X, via our account and my own account.
Ooh.
I came at him and said, you know what you're talking about, Mark Madden. I gave a little promo myself and my Flyers delivered. So can you take that? I know we got a long series to go, but Mark Madden, I'm calling you out, man. Calling you out. You're already down 1-0. You're going to get scared Monday night. I got promos myself. So that saved an awful Saturday night WrestleMania 1. My Flyers getting it done, and I could say, booyah, I told you, to Mr. Wrestling, Mr. Pittsburgh Wrestling, Mr. Mark Madden. That's how I feel.
Double D, ladies and gentlemen. Deremy Dove.
Hey, I'm letting you know we might be in a promo battle with Mark Madden. He best be ready here.
Yeah,
I need you. You're a rapper. You got to be ready. This is.
Yeah, we
this is our cipher.
It's funny you mentioned. We definitely got some things coming up with promos later on, but stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's crazy, man.
Okay, you're 7. I'm 6.5 from night 1. I'm gonna give you
for night 2.
For night 1. I mean, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. I'm 6.5 for night 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a 3.5 for night 1.
Wow. So overall, that is
a 5.
Wow.
I think that's it. It's mid.
I still think night 2 saves it. I think night 2 saves it.
I think night 2 had its opening matches. It didn't have a great night. It had a great first hour.
While the middle matches, they did kind of like dip a little bit. Still, they were decent enough to get. It wasn't like you were bored. I never felt bored, but I do feel like
I did.
You did?
I did for Trick. I did a little bit for Jade and Rhea, but I like seeing Jade. I definitely did for Trick and Sammy, and I did for Dominic and Finn. I was bored. So, but night 2 that's why it's 5 because of that first hour. It was a hot first hour.
Yeah.
It was a hot first hour. It was.
I mean, I think they realized they needed to come out hot because they knew night 1 stunk. You know what I'm saying? So they knew they had to come out hot.
Not to you, it stunk. It was pretty good. Not to you. Well,
I gave it a
it
five.
was pretty
I gave
good.
night one a 5.5. So
Did you give it a five point
yeah,
five?
you gave it a 3 or 3.5
I gave 3.5. I mean yours is a 7.
for the overall event. It's just average. It's like okay. Now, do you think this WrestleMania was better or worse than last year in Vegas?
It was very similar in that the second day was much better than the first day.
Yes.
I feel like I feel actually I'm gonna say night last year was better because night one was whatever, but the main event delivered on that. Night two was good, honestly, leading up. The main event didn't deliver. I feel like night two had the EO. I mean, we had a classic match with the triple threat with EO, Bianca, and Rhea. So that already puts it because there's no classic matches. I mean, maybe Oba versus Brock, depending on how Oba
Yeah,
looks.
going forward, post Mania and stuff.
But that was an instant classic last year
Yeah.
with that triple threat match. So and also you look at it, both women's championship matches this year were disappointing. One way more disappointing than the other. Where last year Tiffany versus Charlotte was
Yeah, that
disappointing,
was really a big letdown. Yeah.
but not as big a letdown to me as this year with Liv and
Yeah,
Stephanie.
yeah, I was real let down by that one. I thought Jaden, Rhea, wow, nothing like spectacular, and I wasn't really. That's the thing. I think that's why I probably enjoyed it more than you did because I wasn't expecting anything. I already had my expectations low for that because I knew Jade was limited in the ring anyway. I think we both knew that going in. So it's like Rhea is basically just the one just carrying this whole thing. She's QB in the whole thing basically. But I wasn't expecting anything. That's probably why I enjoyed it more. But Jade, she showed like, hey, she can work a little bit. She was doing something. You know, obviously she still has ways to go, but she's showing that hey, she can work out there. And she looked great out there. She looked impressive. You know, still work that needs to be done, but she looked impressive nonetheless. You can't deny that.
So I'll answer your question. I liked last year's
Okay.
better than this year. How about you?
I would say yeah, last year too. I say last year is better than this year. Like I even said, like last year, like if you swap the main event, you take the main event from last year from night one, and you swap the main event to night two. It's like night two is perfect from last year. It's perfect, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like this year, basically, almost. Like I know you didn't like the middle part of night two for this year, but still, it's kind of like almost similar a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what would you swap out from night one to night two?
I wouldn't really swap out anything, to be
Because
honest.
night one's just so much
Yeah,
bad.
I wouldn't really swap out anything,
That's what I'm
but
saying. Well, you're right. I remember you saying
yeah.
that, and you're right for last year. Night two was near perfect besides the main event. And, thanks to Travis Scott, number one,
Now that brings
and
Now
Cody.
that brings me to my other point too, because remember I said this year because they're back in Vegas 2 years in a row, and it seems like they're trying to like repeat or redo, or undo some things they did last year that weren't so great. So this year, Cody once again in the mix with a celebrity. Which match do you feel like was better, the one with Randy and Pat McAfee, or the one last year with Cena and Travis Scott?
This year's match was better.
Okay,
The build-up was way better last year.
I was about to say the buildup was better because of the turn and the
It was way better.
yes, yes,
But this year's match was better. But both left me disappointed in the end.
mm.
Travis Scott, and then
No final boss.
yeah, no final boss, and then what happened here, where like I like Cody as a person. I root for him I'm a fan of him as a big. I'm gonna watch Street Fighter for my nostalgia, but also to support him.
And Roman.
I do like the guy.
Roman's in there
I hold
too.
him to a high standard. But I'm disappointed in WWE making him look bad. I don't blame him for that.
Yeah,
He did his part.
yeah,
WWE made him look
yeah.
bad. You're not talking about him winning the match. You're talking about him getting kicked in the face, and he's your number one baby face. He's your champion, and no one was talking about that
Yeah.
Sunday. That's
You know what? I agree with that. I actually agree. Like this year, I'm glad that he finally got a win, an official win in the main event because he needed this. I said this too on the predict. He needed this win. Like I know everybody wanted to see.
you did say
Yeah,
that.
I know
Yeah,
everybody.
you're
Yeah,
right.
I know everybody wanted to see Randy get number 15, and I know Randy, he was like, I guess you could say the crowd favorite, also the legend, because, like I said, with Triple H and Cena in 2006, it goes back to that. Randy just had that respect factor. He had that seniority and nostalgia carrying him. Cody needed this because you want to establish him as the face of the company. You got to get him some wins at your biggest show because it doesn't make sense. It's not a good look for him or in the company if your face of the company cannot successfully defend the championship 2 years in a row. You know what I'm saying? It made sense for 39 and night 1 of 40 just because you're setting up the story for him to finish the story and get that payoff on night 2 of WrestleMania 40. Last year, I kind of give it a pass because John Cena's last year's last Mania, and people want to see him break the record and everything, so that was cool. The match wasn't perfect, and the finish, still, for Cena, it made sense. So I'll let that slide. This year, you gotta give Cody one. He did the favor last year. You gotta do him one this year.
I
It's
agree.
just
It
the post match,
you wiped it
yeah, the
away.
post match stuff wasn't needed. You could say that for SmackDown. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Yeah,
negated.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so
yeah. Let
negated.
him stand tall. Let him have his moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, let him have his moment. Let him stand tall. Like, remember you talking about Hogan must pose? You know what I'm saying? When have you ever seen Hulk Hogan in the 8 times that he made event at WrestleMania where did you see Sergeant Slaughter attack him after he won? Did you ever see Roddy Piper attack him? The Ultimate War. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, Hogan must pose. Roll credits. Fade to black. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them have their moment.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I can say what WrestleMania always does is something to talk about
Yes,
for us big wrestling fans, even with the casuals. So I'm always grateful for that. I'm grateful for you, for the conversation, for the platform to have it. Uh, and it's fun going back and forth. I want people to know no matter what, Tim goes with me, I go at him. But in the end of the day, that's my dude. I respect him as a person. I respect his creativity, his talent, and I respect his wrestling knowledge. I really do. So it's all love, all fun, and hey, it's a blessing that we're able to do this and be able to watch WrestleManias, right? So
absolutely, man. Absolutely, man.
in the end, that's it. But yeah, man, this was fun. How about you let the people know what we got coming up, and then we can send them on home.
Yeah, well, in the next couple weeks, catch our new episode. We're gonna be talking about the greatest wrestling promos of all time. And who knows, we may have a special guest on. So
Maybe.
tune in, you know what I'm saying? And we'll definitely be talking about some promos. Jeremy gave you a little preview earlier, talking about Mark Madden. So, hey, we're amped up. We're fired up for it.
Breaking
Yeah,
news.
we're coming off WrestleMania. So, yeah, we're fired up, man. And make sure you go back on our channel, check out our podcast, check out our archives, and check out our previous episodes, especially the ones we did leading up to WrestleMania, like Essential WrestleManias with good friend of the show, Thomas Senna from Pop Culture 5 that Deremy co-hosts, and also What If WrestleMania 1 Failed, which you can check out. It's our latest one. But yeah, make sure you follow us on Instagram and X at TLC Wrestling Pod. Once again, that's TLC Wrestling Pod on both Instagram and X. And make sure you email us at tlcwrestlingpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode, our podcast, and even give us some suggestions on future topics for future episodes coming up. So
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. So for my main man, my tag team partner, Mr. Tim Lewis, I'm Deremy Dove. Thank you guys for watching Tables, Ladders, and Conversations. Peace.